Alrighty, greetings and salutations everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff and welcome to our Saturday afternoon live stream for Week 17 Championship Week of the 2025 fantasy football season. I hope you guys had a wonderful last couple of days in regards to Christmas. Happy holidays. Hope you guys are all doing well on this Saturday. Over the course of the next 2 hours prior to the Chargers taking on the Houston Texans, we're talking all things fantasy football. Of course, I talked about quarterbacks and tight ends in yesterday's video. A little bit of a late upload, but just wanted to get that out so we're all on the same page as to where we're going with those two positions. While, of course, many of us experienced one of the worst, potential Christmas Day slate of games I have maybe ever seen for fantasy purposes. Now, again, when I think of fantasy football and Christmas, I think of that Alvin Kamara generational game of 6 rushing touchdowns. But now, unfortunately, my most recent memory of fantasy football on a Christmas Day consists of Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, and Courtland Sutton losing me my fantasy season. Thank you very much. It's very unfortunate, but hey, this is what it is. Again, over the course of the next hour or 2 hours here, we'll talk about all things fantasy football. If you guys have any questions, of course, make sure you include it, whether it is in the live chat or via super chat in order to claim priority. Make sure you include it with your scoring format. The more information you provide, the easier it'll be for, of course, myself and, of course, other members of the community to help answer your questions. But I'm of the opinion, after seeing this most recent slate of games on Thursday, that Christmas Day may be, if we could, just go back to the NBA. Just give NBA all the games. Let's just have no games on Christmas, please, because that was a rough watch. Are we joking? The Lions lost that game. Jared Goff had to show up and ruin. Okay, anyway, I'm done. Okay, anyway. So, quickly, before we begin answering some of these questions, a quick reminder in regards to some of the injuries that have taken place and or have been designated over the course of the last 24 hours based on Friday's injury reports. Again, the Arizona Cardinals secondary continues to lose members. Budda Baker's going to be out this week on top of all the injuries they've continued to have. It's not a great sign. Lamar Jackson, of course, is going to be out later today alongside of Jordan Love. We have a backup versus backup quarterback situation, expecting a lot of running within that game. In regards to some other players, specifically for fantasy purposes, Rome Odunze obviously designated out. David Njoku designated out. Mac Hollins, Kayshon Boutte both designated out. That certainly does propel the potential of someone like Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, and for those of you who are potentially in a deeper league, even Kyle Williams could be a potential start there. Speaking of the New England Patriots, TreVeyon Henderson, he did in fact practice yesterday with the removal of the non-contact jersey. Therefore, there is a potential in which, in fact, he is going to be available tomorrow, which for those of you who have him on roster and were able to survive the debacle of last week's concussion, that would be quite interesting to see, and hopefully a huge game ahead against the Jets. Outside of this kind of a situation, Calvin Austin being out, I think that does potentially propel the running game even further for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Without DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, really, they're going to throw the ball to the tight ends and they're going to run the crap out of the football against the Cleveland Browns, which is certainly going to find a lot of success. Outside of all this, there's a couple offensive line injuries like Andrew Thomas, Tristan Wirfs, Charles Cross, a couple of available options there, Tanner Bordolini, a lot of potential guys that certainly do implicate lesser success within the rushing category, but we'll go and continue to talk about the rest of this conversation as we continue. Without further ado, let's get into answering questions. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up on screen immediately, and let's get right into it with the first question of the day coming from JV. I saw that sent in a while back, but we'll get to it right now. All right, JV says, question is in the chat. Thank you very much, JV. I greatly appreciate it, my man. All right, he says, in a half PPR, Hampton or Gainwell? Between the two of them, I do have Hampton currently ranked higher. I think that Gainwell certainly does have a lot of potential for value this week. I think both Gainwell and Jaylen Warren are going to be fantastic options, especially considering the passing game of the Pittsburgh Steelers is getting nullified with the absence of, suspended DK Metcalf. Calvin Austin's out. Of course, they have tight ends running all over the field, but considering how much success has been found in the running game against the Cleveland Browns, certainly both are going to be successful, but considering Kamani Vidal is dealing with a neck injury, has been questionable all week, even if he plays, he's going to be at a limited capacity. We should see a full workload from Hampton, and considering the lack of success from Texans defense in terms of stopping the run of late, I will play Hampton in a half PPR. If it was a full PPR, there could be an even further discussion in the direction of Gainwell, considering how much success he has found of late. In 5 of the last 6 games, 5+ receptions being a very solid floor, but I think in terms of your situation, half PPR, Hampton is the correct play. Fingers crossed, of course. And then when we go on to, I have Kittle and Juwan Johnson on my bench. Tongs is on waiver. It says, don't want to start Johnson and then Kittle pops off. Would you rather start Johnson over Tongs? In a half PPR setting, I think I would wait to see if Kittle plays, genuinely. Because I do think that the separation between Tongs and Juwan Johnson in a half PPR setting isn't as significant as in a full PPR. So in this circumstance, I would try to wait for Kittle. Because I do agree, I don't want to risk him not playing for me and going for 15 to 20 points, which over the course of the last 5 games here with Brock Purdy under center, he's consistently produced. I mentioned it yesterday, 16.2 half PPR fantasy points per game in the return of Purdy. Now, again, there could be a limited nature of Kittle with the injury, but I'm hoping that he'd be at a full capacity. So personally, if I was in your position, I would push it. I try to go Kittle. If not, I put it to Tongs. And then moving on to your final question, says also May or Lawrence. I have them back to back, genuinely. I think they're both fantastic options. I think with May losing a lot of receiving options in the form of Kayshon Boutte and Matt Collins this week, Pop Douglas still questionable. I think Trevor Lawrence is the preferred play. Says I need big points from tight end and quarterback due to playing from behind, sadly, after Sutton's game. Yeah, the amount of touchdowns and drops, not even touchdown drops, but first and foremost, yes, dropping touchdowns, but also dropping wide open receptions. I understand they're not the most accurate passes, but when you get your hands on it, Courtland Sutton, please do us the favor. But obviously, we'll have to talk about Courtland Sutton next season as this is the final week. Moving on. We had a question from Racy. Thank you very much, Ray. Appreciate it. It says Tracy, Irving, Carter, and or Corum in a PPR pick 2. Look, I think Blake Corum certainly does have a very strong floor. He could easily show up and score 10 to 12 points, assuming he falls into the end zone. But I think the upside, especially in a full PPR, considering how much receiving utilization could theoretically be gathered by the available alternatives, I do believe that the correct play in this circumstance is Tracy and Irving. I know Bucky Irving's recent kind of situation of losing touches to Sean Tucker, lack of receiving workload certainly is risky. But when you're taking on Miami, I would like to assume a very high scoring event in the favor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to which Bucky Irving is going to get a lot of utilization. And then when we have Tracy against a top 3 running back matchup, additionally, Max Crosby out there, a team that's trying to tank, it feels like Tracy and Irving is the correct play. But I do believe all 4 of these options easily could score 10 plus fantasy points with their eyes closed this week. So I'm just purely looking for upside, which I do believe Tracy and Irving do provide that comparatively. Eric sends in a question. Eric, thank you very much. Appreciate it, my man. It says half PPR pick 2. We have Harrison, Watson, Abuka, and Pearsall. So I don't love the idea of playing Marvin Harrison. He's been limited all week. This is the second consecutive week in which he's been at a limited capacity with the heel injury. His lack of utilization this most recent game and production has me afraid. Additionally, on top of that, Christian Watson with Malik Willis, I don't love the potential of that either. So the issue then becomes, can we wait for Pearsall to be available? No. So you're pretty much positioned to where you have to play 2 of these 3 because Ricky Pearsall plays tomorrow night, Sunday Night Football. So unless you had a theoretical pivot within that same game, which when I look around in regards to Chicago and San Francisco, unless your pivot is like, I don't know, let's say Luther Burden. Shoot, I'd rather play Luther Burden outright over Pearsall. But unless you had a pivot that was actually of legitimate value, which I don't see any in that Sunday night game and or Monday night game, I think in your position you have to play it safe and you have to avoid rolling with Pearsall. Now, in the event in which we do get further information that he's guaranteed to play tomorrow night, then sure, I would genuinely feel most comfortable rolling with Pearsall. Otherwise, I think your appropriate play is most likely like a Marvin Harrison. Well, do I even take Marvin Harrison? Yeah, I would. Compared to Christian Watson and the sketchiness of that, look, here's the issue. As of late, the defense, let me pull it up right now, for the Baltimore Ravens has been getting torched by number 1 receivers, right? And that is my biggest concern. So I feel like I have to hedge my situation and just go safe, because in the last couple of weeks, we're talking about Stephon Diggs for 138, Jamar Chase for 132, DK Metcalf for 148, Jamar Chase for 110, and then Mechie for 65 and a tutty, and then Naylor for 124. The amount of 100-yard receivers they've allowed of late makes me sketched out about it. But can I trust Malik Willis? I think I hedge it. I go Watson, Harrison, and that's the way I roll about it. I think Abuka is just a little too sketchy, not enough opportunity and upside. Pearsall injury. and plays on late Sunday night schedule. So Harrison and Watson are my suggestions. Thank you. Eric sends in a question. Says, this is a follow-up to Eric's question. Says, and Stevenson or Marks, should I risk Hendo playing? I wouldn't risk it. I'd play Woody Marks today. Again, considering Travion Henderson hasn't already been designated out, primarily, with Kayshon Boutte and Mac Hollins and majority of the defense of the New England Patriots already being designated out, I would like to assume that Henderson is in fact going to be available tomorrow. So waiting to play Stevenson is very much so a sketchy kind of proposition, considering you're going to have to rely on touchdowns, which isn't out of the realm of possibility for him, as he has seen solid workload when they've both been active. But I do believe that Woody Marks is the better play in comparison to Stevenson here. But in the event in which, let's say, for example, you have Henderson as well, if you were to wait for tomorrow and fire up Henderson, I'd do it. I'd rather play Henderson over Marks in this case because they're playing the Jets. So if you have Henderson and Stevenson and Marks, I'd wait for tomorrow. In the event in which Henderson's playing, he's in my lineup. If he's out, I'm playing Stevenson. Thank you. All right, Bryce Long sends it a question. Bryce, thank you. Says full PPR, Alec Pierce or Kyle Williams. Yeah, look, here's the thing. Kyle Williams certainly has a greater opportunity share, considering he will be running a significantly higher route share in comparison to weeks prior with no Kayshon Boutte and Mac Hollins out there, and potentially additionally no Pop Douglas available. But even in this circumstance, I have a hard time leaning in that direction. I do believe that it's going to be, or it should be, in the favor of the New England Patriots being able to kind of impose their will over the course of that game. But I don't know if I can guarantee what I'm going to see out of Kyle Williams. Yes, I could probably say 6 targets with goodness gracious, can I just speak English? 6 targets is within the realm of possibility. So anything higher than that, very difficult to potentially predict, because I would assume when you're playing against the Jets, you're probably not going to be like the Saints and throw the ball 50 times. You're most likely going to be in a situation where you're running the ball for a majority of that second half because you have 2 capable running backs. So I'd lean towards Alec Pierce in this circumstance. As for your next question, pick 3 between Hall, Michael Carter, Kittle, and Fannin. Pick 1.5 PPR. Okay, so here's the issue with the Kittle situation. Unless you have Jake Tongs available to pivot, I don't see myself considering Kittle a viable option here. Unless you have a pivoting player, you have to play Fannin, Carter, and Hall. In the event in which you do have Jake Tongs, at that point, I would genuinely lean in the direction of Carter, Kittle, and Fannin. That's under the assumption that, again, you have Tongs on roster, and additionally, Fannin is in fact active tomorrow, considering he did sustain a groin injury at practice yesterday. So there could be even a chance that you wake up tomorrow and Fannin is inactive. If that is in fact the case, then you would go with Kittle, Carter, and Hall, and try to pivot Kittle to Tongs in the event in which he is not available for Sunday night. Otherwise, again, if Fannin's playing, these are the 3 that I prefer, assuming you have Tongs on roster. Pick 1.5 PPR, Monungai, Downs, Hunter Henry, and Strange. As of right now, in a half PPR scoring format, I genuinely feel most comfortable rolling with Hunter Henry as my number 1 option. Thank you. TPD says, I dodged a bullet by not playing the Lions defense. Really? Did they not score that many points? Hold up, let me check here. I saw a league where they scored 10 points. Maybe that's a different kind of format. I think that's somebody else's format. 7 points. Okay. I mean, I don't think 7 points is a terrible outing for a defense, especially in Championship Sunday. If you guys remember last season, Championship Sunday, that Indianapolis Colts defense. I don't know if very many of you were playing in that game, but yeah, that was an interesting one. But Lamb screwed me. Is there any changes I should make to my lineup? I have Drake May, CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Trey McBride, Diggs, Warren, Fairbairn, and the Saints defense. Let me see the rest of the context of your question. I mean, without knowing what else you have on roster, I mean, ultimately, first and foremost, I wouldn't change this lineup. I think this is a perfect lineup for this week. Now, if you did have an alternative option that is a better play, specifically at like defense, let's say you have the Steelers available or you have the Patriots available or something like that, then sure, we can go in that direction. But ultimately, I think this is a perfect lineup to hopefully bring in a chip, specifically on the back of Christian McCaffrey and McBride as of this week. Thank you. Let's see here. We move on to the next question from Kaizen. Kaizen, thank you. Says, I have Kittle and Fannin. If out, Jawan, Tongs, or Taysom. Yeah, look, here's the reality. In the event in which Fannin is playing tomorrow, I think you have to roll with him because I think his value alone, under the assumption that he's at a full capacity, is not equivalent, but close enough to where Kittle would be at an injured rate to where I'm comfortable rolling Fan in there tomorrow morning if he's active. In the event in which he is out, then I am pushing to play Kittle and Tongs as my combo. I would not play Juwan or Taysom. I would try to play the Kittle-Tongs combo there on Sunday night. Ryan sends in a question. Thank you, Ryan. Says half PPR Mayer or Hill, then rank Hampton, Myers, Marks, Waddle, and ETN. Cool. In a half PPR, I do prefer Taysom Hill because I do value his rushing attempt workload at a pretty high rate in comparison to targets. Like we're going to assume that Taysom Hill is going to run the ball, let's say 10 times this week. In the event in which he runs the ball 10 times, that does provide him with goal line opportunity. And then additionally, like this most recent week, receiving workload, the volume of touches that he is going to be given in comparison to Mayer does give him the slight edge advantage there. So I would go with Taysom Hill. Now, in the event in which we're ranking these players in a half PPR, my number 1 is ETN. Number 2 is Hampton. Number 3 is most likely... Excuse me. Let me check where I have Woody Marks compared to Jacoby Myers real quick. Number 3 would be Woody Marks. Number 4 would be Myers. Number 5 would be Waddle. So all 3 running backs are my priority. ETN, Hampton, Marks, Myers, and Waddle. Thank you, Ryan. Sam Bam 68 sends in a question. Says backed into the championship game despite Jacobs and Judkins combo last week. So you survived pretty much. Standard scoring, pick 1 running back and 1 flex out of Monangai, Jordan, Sampson, Sanders, Michael Wilson, and Godwin, and then pick 1 tight end. Cool. So in this circumstance, are you playing in a no, you're playing in a standard scoring format. So 0 points per reception. So in the form of a 0 point per reception format, I do believe that Monangai is your best running back play. Jordan is not going to get much workload with Woody back. Sampson, again, is very much so receiving dependent, and Sanders, again, is dependent on the Cleveland Browns scoring any points, which I don't expect them to do at a high rate. So Monangai is your RB there. In the flex position, I think your optimal play is going with Michael Wilson, considering Marvin Harrison is still at a limited capacity, and the point total of that game is 53.5, the highest of week 17. As for week 17 tight end starts, if Kittle is out, do I go Tongs, Waller, Strange, or Mayer? I would go Tongs there. Yeah. So if you have Kittle on roster, then you go in the direction of Tongs. If you do not have Kittle on roster, then you're playing Brent and Strange this week. Thank you. Blazin 540 sends in a question. Blazin, thank you. Says, I need the highest possible upside possible after Christmas games. Yeah, it was an absolute dud. Ridiculous. Pick 1 between Michael Wilson, Tedero McMillan, Parker Washington, Luther Burden. Maybe there's a hidden gem on the waivers. I doubt it, brother. If there's a hidden gem, it's probably like Kyle Williams potentially out there. Otherwise, looking at the field of options that we have at our disposal this week, like maybe it's Kyle Williams, maybe it's Trey Tucker, maybe there's a possibility that Rashid Shaheed gets a greater workload. But ultimately, there's just too much variable risk with those options, considering the lack of opportunity they have seen thus far this season. So it's difficult to predict what they could theoretically produce right now. So if I was in your position, I do believe that the pick 1 is Tedero McMillan. I think Michael Wilson, had we been in a situation this week where there is no Marvin Harrison, would be the blind start. My eyes closed, my life on the line. I'm playing Michael Wilson there. But as of right now, with that not being the case, I think Tedero McMillan is your optimal play. The way in which I would rank these players is McMillan 1, Wilson 2, Burden 3, then Parker Washington 4. Thank you. James Grover sends in a question. James, thank you very much, sir. I greatly appreciate that, my man. James says, PPR, I lost Bowers. I've got Hill, then picked up Schultz off of the waivers this morning. Start who? Yeah, in a full PPR, I believe your optimal play is going in the direction of Dalton Schultz. Again, with the overall opportunity share of receptions that he has been exposed to over the course of this season of late, if I'm not mistaken, he is top 3 in terms of total receptions this season amongst all tight ends. Let me confirm that statement real quick. If we go to the tight end position, we go to total receptions. Yeah, as of right now, Dalton Schultz is number 4 amongst all tight ends. So ultimately, like the workload share that he sees, predominantly his value is revolving around receptions. I mean, again, over the course of since week 5, 6, 7, 8 of the last 11 games of double-digit fantasy points, in comparison to Taysom Hill, who has had one singular solid game all season. So I'm absolutely, undoubtedly going to play Schultz. I don't think the matchup is difficult enough to where I am avoiding the matchup, especially considering we have seen Kelsey, Goddard, and Bowers of late, all three produce against this Chargers defense. Then when we move on, it says also one running back and one flex between Hampton, Stevenson, Pollard, Tetaroa, and BTJ. I think you've got really optimal options here. The issue is I can't trust Stevenson unless I get some information tomorrow. So in this circumstance, as the way I currently have it ranked, Hampton is my highest ranked running back. So I would suggest playing him as of today. And then looking towards the flex position in a full PPR setting, I think if Pollard was to get more receiving workload, I could trust it. But again, Tyjae Spears is there. In the event in which Travion Henderson is out, Stevenson would be my suggestion. Otherwise, I end up probably playing Tetaroa McMillan here as your flex. So it's Hampton and Stevenson, assuming Henderson is out. Otherwise, Hampton and then Tetaroa in a full PPR setting. It says Pollard got a contract bonus with raid bench half defense. BTJ high total easy match. I don't know what the heck this raid bench, because Pollard doesn't play the Raiders this week. I don't know what that means. Hold on, let me check. No context. Okay. But yeah, look, as of right now, I agree. Pollard should have himself 3 consecutive games right now of 100 yards and a touchdown. If he does it again, it wouldn't surprise me. BTJ, incredibly easy matchup. The only issue and risk with BTJ, too many cooks in the kitchen. In comparison to Tetaroa, who is by far and away the number one option in that offense. So in terms of target opportunity, it should be in favor of Tetaroa, which leans me in that direction, assuming Henderson's back for Stevenson to not be the option at flex. Thank you. Rel sends in a question. Says Pig 2, wide receivers in a full PPR scoring format. Moore, Burden, Watson, Ricky, Kyle Williams, and Parker Washington. Okay, so I think DJ Moore and Luther Burden genuinely are your 2 best plays. I know that playing both Chicago Bears wide receivers is highly sketchy because, again, you are double stacking on a singular offense, which you may think, oh, okay, well, if Moore's going to succeed, then Luther Burden doesn't. But ultimately, when you're taking on San Francisco's secondary that has been torched by literally everyone, it is the preferred play to go in that direction. I don't want to play Christian Watson with a backup quarterback. Ricky Pearsall plays on Sunday night and may not play, in fact, or may be limited. Kyle Williams, again, at this capacity, we haven't seen him at. So it is a hidden gem kind of play. Could disappear and not be found at all this week. And Parker Washington has genuinely just too many cooks in the kitchen. So Moore and Burden would be the priorities. Also, should I go Malik or Rivers? Depends on scoring format. If you're playing in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I think Rivers is your option. If it's a 4-point per passing touchdown, Malik Willis would be the play. Again, the rushing upside that he has put forth and demonstrated over the course of his career within Green Bay is far too high of potential to avoid this week. Thank you. We Fly High sends in a question. Says full PPR. Need help setting my lineup. My quarterbacks are Burrow and May. I would play Burrow there. Again, super high point total. All the weapons are there for this offense. Taking on a Cardinals defense and secondary that is missing a lot of players. Moving on to running back. We have Hampton, Bucky, Mark Sampson. Hampton, and I would probably, let me see where I have Bucky Irving comparatively. Are you playing in a full PPR? Okay. So let me see this real quick. Where's Woody Marks comparatively? It becomes a little bit of a sketchier play there because Bucky Irving's just been so damn disappointing of late, and his lack of receiving utilization does make his floor a little bit unsustainable. If it's me, I probably end up playing Hampton and Marks as my 1-2 combo there at RB. Looking towards Kittle, Strange, Taysom Hill, Parkinson, pivot Kittle in case he doesn't play. If you have Kittle's pivot, Jake Tongs, then Kittle is my suggestion. And then you need a flex. Your flex option would be Bucky Irving. And then defense, Saints or Texans, I would play oh, wow. Okay, so here's the thing. If you're of the belief that you don't want to play your defense against one of your primary starters, then you would play the Saints. Otherwise, my primary suggestion will be to roll the Texans this week. So top to bottom again, Burrow, Hampton, Marks, Kittle with a pivot, Bucky in the flex, Texans defense. Thank you, E5. I appreciate it. Michael Sue Smith sends in a question. Michael, thank you very much, sir. I greatly appreciate it. Says start Trevor Lawrence or Purdy. I would prefer to go in the direction of Trevor Lawrence. Again, I don't know what Purdy's overall options are going to be looking around him, with Pearsall and Kittle both questionable for Sunday's game. So Trevor Lawrence, who's been on an absolute burner, scoring 17 touchdowns in the last 5 games, is the preferred option. Star Wan'Dale Robinson, Michael Wilson, Ladd McConkey, or Christian Watson. Okay, so of the available options in a full PPR scoring format, I do think that Wan'Dale Robinson, now having Theo Johnson out this week, earlier this morning, that was designated because he's dealing with a illness. With Theo Johnson out, I think it does provide a little bit more potential oomph to the play of Wan'Dale Robinson. So as of this moment, I would go Wan'Dale Robinson 1. I would go Ladd McConkey 2. Michael Wilson 3, Christian Watson 4 in a full PPR scoring format. Robinson, McConkey, Wilson, and Watson. Thank you. Millie in my pocket sends in a question. Says in a full PPR, Taysom or Strange? In a full PPR setting, I think Brenton Strange is more likely the safe play. Again, I'm banking on Taysom Hill's rushing upside. I cannot guarantee that he is going to see 6 targets again and come away with 4 automatic receptions. Again, he ran his most routes of the season this most recent week by 2 times. He doubled up his highest route total from earlier in the year. Again, this could be because of the absence of an Alvin Kamara and Devin Neal, and additionally on top of it, the absence of Devon Vele. You know, they lost Brandon Cooks, obviously cutting him earlier this season, trading away Rashid Shaheed. All of it does promote Taysom to get more workload, but I think it is safer to just go in the direction of playing Brenton Strange in this circumstance against one of the better matchups at the position. Evans, AJ Brown, or Hendo. In a full PPR scoring format, my only concern regarding AJ Brown is weather. Otherwise, if it's a clear day in Buffalo, I probably play AJ Brown in a full PPR. In the event in which still it's going to be a rain game or a snow game, I think Henderson is the play, assuming he clears protocol. Thank you. 876 Tat sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says full PPR flex Burden, Pierce, Woody, Parker Washington. Woody Marks would be my play in a full PPR. Woody Marks would be number 1. Number 2 would be Luther Burden. 3 is Alec Pierce. 4 is Parker Washington. Thank you. Kaizen sends in a follow-up. Says London or Evans. So because London is still questionable, I would need to wait to see what his practice designation looks like today. Once that is designated, if he gets a full participation prior to the Monday game, I would say, yes, let's go in the direction of London, as I would feel comfortable playing him, as I would anticipate a full workload of snap share. In the event in which he's still limited today and still questionable for Monday's game, could have me a little bit concerned, because again, over the course of this week, let me go pull up their injury report. Let's pull that up right now. Oh, actually, look, they have updated it perfectly. So as of right now, 3 consecutive days of limited participation of practice. That doesn't have me excited about him playing a full snap share of complemented snaps. So as of right now, if he comes out again and plays 70% of the snaps, again, very much so worrisome. So I would prefer to just roll with Evans and not take the risk. And then in regards to May or Brissett, I think Drake May is the preferred play. Need upside. I think May has a solid floor of 20 fantasy points. I think Brissett certainly does have the same overall kind of situation. But between the two, I think the rushing workload in a 4-point per passing touchdown league and the kind of upside that May could theoretically provide with that is too valuable to pass up on. All right, C. Mars sends in a question. Mars, thank you very much. Says Burden or Christian Watson in the flex? I'd rather play Luther Burden, genuinely. Appreciate it. Thank you. Again, if Jordan Love was playing, it would be it wouldn't even be a question in my mind. I would immediately tell you to play Christian Watson. But without Jordan Love out there, I think this offense continues to lean upon the running game. They've demonstrated it not only this season, but of course in 2024. Whenever Malik Willis is out there under center, it becomes a run-first approach. So Burden will be my suggestion in this situation. Thank you. Joel Garza sends in a question. Says, question is in the chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Joel. All right. Joel Garza says, should I bench Michael Wilson and pivot? I have Alec Pierce, Parker Washington, or just roll with him. I would just roll with him, genuinely. I think Michael Wilson is still valuable enough with the expectation of a high-scoring game to which even in a lesser opportunity share of targets, he should still be more valuable than Pierce and Parker Washington within the given week, taking on that secondary. Also, Purdy or Baker. Yes, Purdy absolutely over Baker. Baker's been far too inconsistent, unfortunately. So Purdy, even if Kittle is out, I would still put myself in the position to which I'm playing Brock Purdy in this week. Says, should I throw Schultz in today? I have Kittle. No, I would rather have Kittle on my roster and pick up Tongs and then pivot Kittle to Tongs, worst case scenario. Thank you. Auntie Slayer sends it a question. Says, we made it here. Thanks to you, Andrew. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Says, no Patreon rankings this week. I posted Patreon rankings on Thursday. So let me just confirm that that is in fact there, because I posted it on Thursday, and I would hope that is in fact the case. Yeah, I posted rankings on Thursday. The next update will come out tomorrow morning, prior to the slate of games. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next slate of questions. We have Gabriel Martin. Thank you very much, Gabriel. Appreciate it. It says, full PPR, I need 2 running backs: Stevenson, Carter, Hall, or Marks. So as of right now, I think Woody Marks is your most valuable running back. In the event in which tomorrow we have, in fact, Travion Henderson inactive, you would play Stevenson as your RB2. Otherwise, I would pivot to playing Michael Carter against Cincinnati. So Marks and Stevenson, otherwise Marks and Carter. Thank you. Moving on to the next question from Suarez, who says, in a full PPR, I need a running back, flex, and a wide receiver. Okay. So my bench consists of Bucky, Henry, Evans, Tetaroa, Michael Carter, Ladd, and Michael Wilson. Also, thoughts on King Henry usage tonight without Lamar. Yeah, look, I mentioned it earlier this week on Tuesday in regards to my running back rankings. Over the course of this season, when we have seen Derrick Henry play in the absence of Lamar Jackson, the 2 most recent games have consisted of 21 and 24 rushing attempts. So the assumption will be that today we should in fact see a bunch of rushing from Derrick Henry, which is very promising, especially considering Green Bay has struggled in terms of stopping the run of late. So I think we're in a pretty solid position in terms of opportunity share for King Henry tonight. His usage should be at as high as it possibly gets this season. I would hope maybe they run the ball with him 30 times, genuinely. In regards to the potential of your running back, flex, and wide receiver, again, I would stick with Derrick Henry as my RB1. At wide receiver, looking at your available options, I do believe that Mike Evans is your most valuable. Then when we position ourselves for the flex, in a full PPR setting, typically I would tell you to play like Bucky Irving, but again, of late, he's not the same Bucky Irving as he was last year. So I would position myself to play Tetaroa McMillan as my flex. So I'd go Henry, Evans, and Tetaroa this week. Thank you, Suarez. Ben sends in a question, says, help. Says, London or Waddle? Hendo or Carter? Okay, so here's the thing. If Henderson is active tomorrow, clears concussion protocol, he's in my lineup. That's first and foremost. Then when we move on to London and Waddle, I would like to play London, but the issue remains that he plays on Monday night and he is still questionable. So are we willing to take the risk? As of right now, with a limited participation, I'd like to assume he is going to play, but there's no guarantee of that. And I would like to assume that he's going to get a full, usage of snaps, but I can't guarantee that. So if you're just trying to get a safe floor of production, you're just looking for 10 fantasy points, I think Waddle is your answer. I mean, shoot, Waddle could come out and score 15 fantasy points, assuming he finds the end zone. So if you're just looking for the safe play, I think you go with Waddle. In the event in which you're like, Andrew, I need the Hail Mary, I'm down massive, or my players didn't end up doing much, then London is that kind of high risk, high reward potential play, because there's always a potential in which he plays on Monday night, but once again only gets himself 4 or 5 receptions, considering he's coming off of the injury, still at a limited capacity, and still not playing 100% of the offensive snaps. So my honest suggestion would probably revolve around, like, if we're going safe, we go Waddle there. All right, Mike sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, do I start? Okay, start one between Burden, Pierce, Corum, Reed, and Kyle Williams. I don't like the idea of playing Reed, Kyle Williams, or Pierce here. I think it's between either Luther Burden or Blake Corum. I think in a full PPR capacity, Burden coming away with, let's see, can he come away with 4 catches, 5 catches this week? I think that's within the realm. But his overall kind of floor of production isn't enough for me to be super confident on the matter. Like his most recent game, 6 catches, 84 is beautiful. I'd love to see that once again. And I'm hoping that we'll see maybe even worst case scenario, something from the week prior, 4 catches, 67, to where he gets himself a double-digit fantasy point week. I think if you're looking for upside performance, you play Burden. If you're looking for floor, we play Corum. Thank you. All right, move on to Torrin Davis. Torrin, thank you. says full PPR, Derrick Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson. Regardless, we're playing Derrick Henry tonight because we can't wait for tomorrow to kind of see what happens in this situation. Derrick Henry's our play tonight. Thank you. Derek Kohler sends in a question. Says in a full PPR, Woody Marks, Rico Dowdle, Kenneth Walker. Okay, so first and foremost, let's see how many running backs and wide receivers. So one wide receiver. So it says I need a flex, a wide receiver, a running back, and a tight end. Okay, so 2 running backs. Between these 3 options, I would play Woody Marks and Kenneth Walker easily. Then when we look at the wide receiver position, I would play BTJ. Then when we position to play a tight end here, you have Strange, Schultz, and Andrews. I would play Schultz. And then when we're positioning ourselves to play a flex option, I would prefer most likely going in the direction of like an Alec Pierce. So if I was in your position, I'd go Woody Marks, Kenneth Walker, BTJ, Alec Pierce, and Dalton Schultz. Thank you. All righty, let's see here. We move on to the next question. Appreciate you guys being patient. Again, we are about 40 minutes into today's live stream, going up until the Texans begin against the Los Angeles Chargers. All right, let's see here. After the CMARS question, we moved all the way. There it is. It was Torrin Davis, then Derek, and then we go to Rhode Island. Says, championship round. Says, I'm up against Puka and Dak Prescott. Okay. It says, I need a wide receiver, a flex, in a full PPR. Watson, Pittman, Parker Washington, Kenneth Walker, Burden, and Kyle Williams. Personally, I would roll with Kenneth Walker and Luther Burden. That's my wide receiver flex combo. Thank you. C-Mars says Burden or Christian Watson in the flex. Chip is on the line. I think we answered this earlier. We're going in the direction of Luther Burden this week against that 49ers secondary. Nasty sends in a question. Says start Trevor Lawrence or Drake May. I would prefer to play Trevor Lawrence there. So I'm leaning Lawrence even though May has gotten me this far. Yeah, May has technically gotten you this far, but theoretically speaking, Trevor Lawrence could have started in the last 2 weeks here and gotten you just as far in the fantasy playoffs, considering he has been the number 1 quarterback for the last 5 weeks here in fantasy. He's been unbelievable. But yeah, I think they're both fantastic plays. Whichever way you go, you have a top tier option. Adrian Acosta sends in a question. Says, full PPR, wide receiver, 2 flex. AJ, Devontae, Tetaroa, Quorum, and Marks. It depends on the weather that AJ and Devontae are going to be kind of thrown within. I think if I was in your position, if I was in your place, I would play AJ Brown, Woody Marks, and Tetaroa McMillan. Those are the 3 that I would prefer to play. Thank you. Okay, let's move my foot. Okay, there it is. All right, Mitchell Reddick sends in a question. Says Alec Pierce or Michael Carter? I would prefer to play Michael Carter within the given week. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Shahil sends in a question. Says in a half PPR flex, pick one. Devontae Smith, Tony Pollard, Jacoby Myers, Waddle, or Emmanuel Wilson starting Josh Jacobs. I would play Tony Pollard there. In a half PPR setting for the flex position, a guy that has ran for over 100 yards in the last 3 weeks and now has another opportunity to do so, considering the Titans are trending in the right direction with their offensive line and how everything is kind of worked out of late, Tony Pollard is the preferred play. The next best option, I would say, is probably Jacoby Myers after him. Sean Trevino sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, 1 running back, 2 flex, 1 tight end. We have Marks, Carter, Pollard. So between these 3 available running backs, I would prefer, as of right now, let me see where I have Woody Marks comparatively. So for right now, I would go with Pollard today. That is my preferred running back of the 3. Then when we look in the direction of wide receiver, you have 2 flex and 1 tight end. Okay. So you have Marvin Harrison, Loveland, and Schultz. So actually, if I was in your position, genuinely, I would play Marks, Carter, and Pollard as my RB and double flex. I wouldn't play Marvin Harrison, and then I would end up playing Schultz within my tight end position. So all 3 RBs and Schultz. Says, worried about Schultz and Woody. I have Nico. Is it too much for one offense? I mean, I think there is inherent risk there. But let's say, for example, okay, usually if it's going to be like a lower scoring game, I'd be worried. I don't think this will be a lower scoring game. I would assume both teams can, contribute hopefully 3 touchdowns minimum. I mean, the current total of that game is sitting at 40.5. So they're pretty much predicting about 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals for both teams. Otherwise, if you go for the over, it'll theoretically be 3 touchdowns for both teams there in that circumstance. If we find an even floor, considering the current spread is -1.5 in the favor of the Chargers. So as of this moment, is it too much to go 3 players on one team? No. I think 3 is the limit. I've always mentioned that. That has always been my like rule of thumb. 3 is the max that I'd ever play on one singular team. But in the case of your situation, those are genuinely your best options in a full PPR. So I would just stack them all and just hope that the Houston Texans go absolutely nuclear today. If you want to diversify, the way in which you do so is playing Loveland over Schultz. I wouldn't play Marvin over Marks. Thank you. All right, Joel Garza sends out a question. Says, should I throw Schultz in today? I have Kittle. If you have Jake Tongs available to pick up and stash on your bench for tomorrow as a pivoting option, then I would. Otherwise, if that is not available and your opponent has already picked it up, then I would play Schultz today. Thank you. Brooklyn sends in or you could even theoretically wait. Maybe you have Kittle and pick up Parkinson and then pivot to Parkinson on Monday if Kittle doesn't play on Sunday night. Otherwise, again, looking for the Kittle and Tongs combo. Brooklyn sends in a question. Says, full PPR, pick one. Pollard, Woody, or Monunga. I have Pollard as my number one option there. Pick one between Taysom, Mayer, or Colby. I would go with Taysom Hill there. Watson or Burden, I would go with Burden there. Rico or Woody, I would go with Woody there. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Brooklyn. GCJ97 says, if Kittle is out, will you play Hill or Tongs? Well, here's the issue. Kittle plays on Sunday Night Football. So because of the fact of the late start inherently there, you would have to decide as to whether or not you are playing Hill tomorrow morning. So considering by tomorrow morning, if we don't have any information regarding Kittle's status, I would try to position myself to go Hill and Tongs, Kittle or Tongs. So that's who I'm going to tell you to play. If you have Kittle on roster, you should have Tongs on your bench and get ready to pivot. I would not play Taysom Hill there. Thank you. Hive Salon sends in a question. Says, hi, Andrew. Hope all is well. It is. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Says, I need a person in my flex position in a full PPR. The players I have available are Tracy Jr., Michael Carter, Goddard, Taysom Hill, and Pittman. Of these available, I do believe that Tracy is your best play of the bunch. The order in which I would rank these players is Tracy, Carter, Goddard, then Pittman, and then, well, actually, technically speaking, Tracy, Carter, Pittman, Goddard, Hill would be the order in which I rank these players. But Tracy is my number one option of the group going into this week against that Raiders defense. Thank you. All right. Yes, ma'am. Sends in a question. Says in a half PPR flex, 2, okay, DJ, Parker, Alec Pierce, Carter, Ibuka, and Burden. Okay. So in regards to these availables, like DJ Moore is probably first and four. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's maybe even Carter there alongside of DJ Moore. I don't want to play Parker Washington or Alec Pierce here or Ibuka. I think if I was in your position, I go with DJ Moore and probably Michael Carter. That's the 1-2 combo in which I roll with. Thank you. All right, Bun had sent in a question, but the message got okay, there it is. I got fixed. Okay, it says Cousins, Dart, or Shuck. Cousins, Dart, or Shuck. As of right now, I would go with Tyler Shuck. Yesterday, I did update my quarterback rankings. I posted my top 17 on the channel. Tyler Shuck is my preferred of the 3. The order in which I would rank them would be Shuck 1, Dart 2, and Cousins 3. Thank you. Phil sends in a question. Phil, thank you very much. Says quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex. Says I can one can be a super flex. Okay, cool. Says my quarterbacks are May and Burrow. Beautiful. Play them both. And then when we continue on, we have Jacobs, Kyron, Bijan, Dowdle, Gainwell, and Hampton. So in the case of this running back conversation, Bijan Robinson and Kyron Williams are your 2 best running backs. So that's who I would suggest to play at RB. And then when we look towards wide receiver, you have Waddle, Wilson, A.J. Brown, Quentin Johnston. I would suggest going A.J. Brown alongside of most likely Waddle. And then when we look towards tight end, obviously we're going to, oh goodness. Obviously you're going to play Trey McBride as your tight end. You got Patriots defense and Eddie Pinheiro. Perfect. So basically we're just trying to figure out who our second flex is going to be outside of Burrow, who's a super flex, which in this case, it's either Jacobs or Hampton. I'm of the opinion that if you're playing in a half PPR scoring format, actually even in a half PPR, I might go Hampton. Let me check here real quick. Okay, so right now in a half PPR, I have Jacobs and Hampton back to back. I would say if you're playing in a full PPR here, the easy answer is going Hampton because I would expect him to get more of a receiving workload as of today. In the event in which you're playing in a standard league, half PPR league, I would probably still stick with Jacobs in that scenario. So Jacobs standard half PPR, Hampton in a full PPR. That's the way in which I go about your second flex. Thank you. Moving on to a question from Marvin Lewis. Thank you very much, sir. Greatly appreciate it. It says, good morning, Andrew. In a standard league, in the flex, Michael Wilson, Luther Burden, Juwan Johnson, Darren Waller, or Dylan Sampson. In a standard scoring format, 0 points per reception, we're purely just relying on the hope of a touchdown or big yardage game. Of the availables here, I think your best two options are either Michael Wilson or Juwan Johnson. Let me see where I have them ranked in a half PPR so I can kind of see if I would split the difference there. Yeah, as of right now, the way that I currently have it projected, I probably play Juwan Johnson in this circumstance. Juwan will be number 1. Michael Wilson will be 2. And then I would go like Luther Burden 3, Darren Waller 4, Dylan Sampson 5, considering it's 0 points per reception. So Juwan Johnson's who I believe has not only the touchdown upside, but the higher floor of potential yardage available to him. Michael Wilson will be number 2. Thank you. All right, Reno sends it a question. Reno says in a half PPR, I need a tight end. We have Taysom Hill, Loveland, and Strange. Cool. Of these available, I think as of this, I mean, look, really, between the three of them, it's really just going to be a matter of who finds the end zone, genuinely. As of right now, I think the point total of Jacksonville in the advantageous matchup against Indy leans me in the direction of going Strange 1, then I'll go Taysom 2, then Loveland 3. If Luther Burden wasn't back, Loveland would be ranked higher, but again, there's more competition for touches there. So again, Strange 1, Taysom 2, Loveland 3. Then when we look in the direction of one flex between Michael Wilson, Zay Flowers, McConkey, and Kenneth Walker, in a half PPR scoring format, I would play Kenneth Walker there against Carolina. It says for my other league, full PPR, one wide receiver, Trey Tucker or Kyle Williams, I would play Kyle Williams there. Thank you. All Rise 99 sends it a question. Says standard, Gainwell or Michael Carter? If you're getting 0 points per reception, I think there is a little bit of a sketchy potential there for Gainwell. Let me just go see what his points look like in the absence of receiving workload there. One moment. So in a standard scoring format over the course of the last 6 games here, he's put up, I mean, shoot, he's a double-digit producer in 5 of the last 6 games. So at this point, he really just is an incredible floor player, on top of the fact that they have an incredible matchup here this week against the Cleveland Browns. I play Gainwell there over Michael Carter. Then Buccaneers or Giants defense, I play the Buccaneers defense against Ewers. And then Purdy or T-Law, I would go with T-Law. Thanks for helping me get to the championship. Do you think London plays? I'm hoping he plays. Again, I don't want to say objectively or speak in absolutes in the idea that he's going to play. I can't guarantee that. So the issue is, because London doesn't have a pivot, because all the receivers on the Atlanta Falcons suck, not named Drake London or Kyle Pitts, because there's no pivot there, it becomes a really sketchy situation. So it becomes a high risk to where if I don't have London, I have to play David Sills on Monday, which I don't want to do. So unless I have another option that right now going into this upcoming Sunday is a solid play, I don't want to speak in absolute. So unless I get any further information regarding London in the next 24 hours, maybe an Adam Schefter report saying, yeah, he's going to be suiting up, like that would be the only way in which I would feel more confident regarding it. All right, Bun B sends in a question, says, oh yeah, we already took care of this one. We would go with Shark in this situation. Thank you very much. Orion sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, Allen or Trevor Lawrence? Again, I think they're both fantastic plays, but again, there's no way in which I'm benching Josh Allen. If he's on my roster, he's always in my starting lineup. Says, given the matchup and the weather. No, I understand. Again, objectively speaking, he's got a tougher matchup and he has a more weather-impacted game considering Trevor Lawrence is playing indoors in Indy. But again, the rushing upside and potential and the success that Josh Allen finds regardless of weather, I mean, he has to start for me. If you want to play Trevor Lawrence, I don't have an issue with it at all because I expect him to absolutely go nuclear as well. Also, pick 2 between Mike Evans, Jennings, and Diggs, and DJ Moore. As of right now, between this crew, I think Jennings is the must start, and I genuinely would pair him up with Diggs. Considering the absence of Kayshon Boutte and Matt Collins, I think Diggs and Jennings are the appropriate place here in a full PPR. Thank you. Swallow says, is it crazy to play Carter over Woody in a PPR? I don't think it's crazy. I think that I wouldn't do that myself, but I don't think it's crazy. I think the overall thing with Michael Carter last week is, again, he was nearly averaging 6 yards per carry, and he ran 17 routes and didn't get a single target. So those are kind of outlier situations to where he was highly efficient as a runner, but the game script did not allow him to continue to get more workload. And additionally, on all of his overall routes, did not get a singular look, even though typically he does get himself highly utilized within the receiving category. So I think last week was a little bit of an outlier, kind of fluke performance in terms of his lesser production. But I have a hard time not playing Woody Marks here. Personally, I would go with Woody. If you wanted to play Carter, I don't think it's crazy. Trevor Melville sends in a question. Thank you, Trevor. Says in a full PPR, Brees, Ladd, Hunter Henry, or Burden. Thank you. Oof. That's a tough one. That is an incredibly tough one. Let me go to my full PPR. Let's see where I have Ladd, Mr. McConkey here. Shit. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. As of right now, I have Hunter Henry 1. I have Ladd McConkey 2. I then have Brees Hall 3 and then Luther Burden 4. So it's between Ladd and Hunter Henry. It's incredibly close within my current position of rankings. I think we just play our stud. I think we just play Ladd McConkey. Let's not get cute with it. Just play Ladd. Thank you, Trevor. Katie sends in a question. Says Hampton or Hendy? Corum is my insurance. Oh, man. I think you just play Hampton then. I think Corum as insurance is really good insurance, considering, again, he's been so great of late. But can I... It's a tough one. Because as of right now, I already have Hampton ranked higher than Henderson, under the assumption that Henderson's active. So I think I'm just going to stick with the idea of going Hampton here. Thank you. All right. Mr. Hockeyman sends in a question. Says, any concern over Drake May this week with the injuries? Yeah, look, the injuries to the receiving options around him certainly have a concern. But I don't think losing out on Kayshon Boutte and Mac Hollins destroys the offense. You still have Hunter Henry, the running backs, and Stephon Diggs, who are the pillars. Says, would you play T-Law or Brissett over him? I would absolutely 1,000% play Trevor Lawrence over him. Thank you. All right, Terrell Andrew sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Says, start 3, Bucky, Henderson, Hampton, or Genty. Genty has to play. I think Hampton has to play. And then tomorrow, you'll decide between Bucky and Henderson. If Henderson's active and clears the concussion protocol, he plays. Otherwise, Bucky is your number 3. Thank you. John sends in a question. Says, I need a quarterback, tight end, and a flex. We have Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert. Play Trevor Lawrence this week. Thank you. As for tight end, you have Tyler Warren, AJ Barner, Jake Tongs. I mean, at this point, within that situation, I have to play probably Warren. I don't love the idea, but I kind of have to because I don't have Kittle to pivot with Tongs. If you told me, hey, Andrew, I have Colby Parkinson and Jake Tongs, then yes, I would pivot one of those two options. Otherwise, Warren's your next best kind of top primary play. And then Tracy Jr. or Jacoby Myers for the flex. If it's a full PPR, I'm going Jacoby Myers. If it's a half PPR, let me see where I have Myers compared to Tracy. Hold up. Myers is there, and even in a half PPR, I'm going to go Myers both ways. So as of right now, Trevor Lawrence, stack him with Myers. And then, again, if you have Tongs and Parkinson, then I'll pivot both of those just in case Kittle doesn't play on Sunday night. You play Tongs. Otherwise, you pivot to Parkinson on Monday. Otherwise, if you don't have the availability of that, you have to play Warren. Thank you. Felix Rodriguez. Felix, thank you very much. Says pick 2, Kyron, Tetaroa, Ladd, Pierce, Stevenson, full PPR. I think Kyron has to play. And I think Tetaroa is probably your next best play in that circumstance. So Kyron and Tetaroa would be my 1-2 option. Now, I will say, in the event that tomorrow morning rolls along and Stevenson has no Travion Henderson playing, then Kyron and Stevenson will be your options. But I do anticipate Henderson probably plays tomorrow, so Tetaroa and Kyron will be my suggestion. Thank you. Josh sends in a question. Says, questions in the chat. Thanks for the help this season. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. First time doing fantasy. I'm in the finals. Congratulations. Some would say beginner's luck. Some would say maybe you just have you've got a skill, brother. I don't know what to tell you. I need to fill in a running back, wide receiver, and a flex. Who do I choose? I've got Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Myers, Parkinson, Pierce, and Taysom. Okay. PPR, by the way. Beautiful. Thank you for the clarification there. So at running back, clearing away, I'm playing Jonathan Taylor. In the event in which Travion Henderson is inactive tomorrow, then you play Ramondre Stevenson at RB. Then we move on to the wide receiver conversation, to which I believe that Myers is by far and away your best option. And then, okay, so this is actually the clarification I need to make. If there is no Travion Henderson, JT, Ramondre, and Myers are your play tomorrow. In the event in which Henderson does play, which I'm anticipating is going to be the case, at that point, we go Jonathan Taylor at running back, Myers at wide receiver, and Pierce in the flex. Thank you very much, Josh, excuse me. Josh sends in that question. Then we have Panthers, who sends in the next question. It says full PPR, Burrow, James Cook, Genty, Olave, Flowers. Okay, so that's your roster. Now what do we do to potentially help that? It says tight end Schultz, beautiful. I like that. It says flex 2, London, Warren, Strange, Williams, Wilson, Tongs, Coker. And then tight end 2 flexes, please and thank you. Yeah, no problem, Panthers. Let's see what we have here. So London has to play. I'm willing to risk it with the available alternative options here. London has to play. Schultz is for sure my tight end. So then in this position, I'm looking for my second flex, which of the available options that you have at your disposal here, I think your best option is to go with Strange. So I go Schultz, Strange, and London this week. Thank you. 16, JT Barrett sends it a question. It says, hope you had a great holiday. I did. Thank you very much. I hope you guys also had a great Christmas and happy holidays. Pick one in a full PPR, Marvin Harrison or Ladd. I have to play Ladd McConkey. Undoubtedly got to go in that direction. Thank you. The Mixed Hippie sends it a question. It says, do you play CJ in the Superflex in a full PPR or go for the fences with either more BTJ Stevenson against the Jets or Carter against the Bengals? Oh, man. In a 4-point per passing touchdown format, do I go with CJ Stroud or go for like the upside omega of someone outscoring him? But here's the thing. What if Stroud taps into the upside? What if Stroud throws for, 250 and 2 touchdowns today? Goes for, 18 points. Like, can BTJ Moore Stevenson produce that? Michael Carter? Absolutely. They're all capable of accomplishing it. But I think those are like more, I would say that there's a higher likelihood that Stroud can produce those numbers rather than these availables. Unless, again, in your situation, Travion does not clear concussion protocol, then Stevenson will be the automatic there. But we don't have the opportunity to wait for tomorrow. So if I'm in your position, I'm purely thinking, am I playing CJ Stroud or am I playing BTJ? And as of right now, I would genuinely just play CJ Stroud this week. Thank you. Dizzled sends out a question. It says, full PPR, I need a flex, quarterback, and defense. Beautiful. Let's see what you have here, brother. Jennings, Wilson, Hampton. In a full PPR setting, I have to play Jennings. He's been far too consistent in terms of his overall production. He gets himself far too much opportunity within the red zone. They have an incredible matchup against a secondary that's been dealing with a lot of injuries. And additionally, there's a possibility in which Kittle and Pearsall don't play tomorrow night, which would elevate Jennings even further. So Jennings would be 1, Hampton would be 2, and Wilson would be 3 in a full PPR. Then we look towards defense. Texans and Seattle I have back-to-back. As of this week, I have Texans as my higher-ranked defense. Then for the final question, Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence. Considering the weather that is implicated in Buffalo, I would rather play Trevor Lawrence between these two options. Thank you. TPD says, Kyle Pitts over Diggs. Wow, I think... Man, I would say that they're very close between the two. Am I going to play? I mean, with the options missing in that offense for New England, like I have a hard time thinking Stephon Diggs doesn't come away. Like, I don't know what his number is on Betr this week, but his reception count should easily surpass 5. Easily. Let me see what his number looks like right now. Excuse me. Personally, I think I want to play Kyle Pitts still. Let me see what we're looking at here in terms of his overall receptions, Diggs. So his reception count at a floor, yeah, they don't even have it they don't have 5.5. They have it at 4.5 and it's at a lower potential rate. Yeah, he's going to get himself a pretty good workload share. Personally, still though, I do believe that between the two of them, oh man, it depends on scoring format, I think. But even then, I would rather play Kyle Pitts. I think there's more touchdown upside, and I think the overall reception floor is going to be almost identical. It's just maybe Diggs has a greater potential for yardage, but Kyle Pitts, because of the upside of that touchdown, he is the preferred between the two, in my opinion. But again, both of them are going to be great this week. Silent sends in a question. Says, Jalen Coker or Tyrone Tracy? It's not close. I'm playing Tyrone Tracy. Thank you. All right, moving on to Big Body Birds, who says PPR defending champs, Chargers /Chargers fan. Okay. Says, Hart says to run it back with the same team as last year. Last year or last week? Collins, BTJ, Ladd. Do I play Wandell / Ladd or BTJ? Pick 2. Oh, brother. Okay, so here's the thing. As of this moment, between those availables, I have in a full PPR. Look, in a half PPR setting, I have Ladd, McConkey, and BTJ as my top tier options. But the trickiness is that Ladd, McConkey, in terms of total receptions, isn't, in my opinion, more valuable than Wandell. So if neither score a touchdown, Wandell Robinson is the better play. So that is the concern that I have. I think BTJ is the must start regardless of the alternatives. Do I go ahead and play Ladd or Wandell Robinson? This is the season here. I've got to decide between these two. Yeah, let's run it back. Let's play our studs. Let's go Ladd, McConkey, BTJ there. Thank you. All right. D King sends in a question. Says, hey, bro, I need help. Cousins or Willis? If you're playing in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, I play Willis. If you're playing in a 6-point, I would play Kirk Cousins. Flex, full PPR, Woody Marks, Luther Burden, Trey Tucker, Waller, or Loveland. Woody Marks is going to be my flex, and I'm going to play Loveland as my tight end. Thank you. Brett sends in a question, says, questions in the chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says, can someone in the chat weigh in? I have JSN, JMO, AJ Brown. JMO laid a dud. Do I flex AJ Brown or Corum since I have Kyron? That's not a bad option, brother. It's not a bad option. Do I make that play? I don't, unless the weather's a monsoon in Buffalo. And then your next question is in a half PPR playing for third. 2 questions for the tight end, Strange or Hill. If it's in a half PPR, yeah, I'm going to still stick with Strange there as of right now. JMO already laid a dud for me. Wide receivers are JSN, JMO, AJ Brown. Do I flex AJ Brown or play Corum since I have Kyron and Christian McCaffrey? Tempted to stack. Honestly, I don't mind the stack, but I think that the overall upside revolves around AJ Brown being the better play. So if I was in your position and yeah, I would play AJ Brown there. I don't think I position myself to play Corum in my flex. Thank you. Again, if tomorrow's weather against Buffalo is a disaster, then we can pivot. But otherwise, sticking with AJ Brown there. All right, Zobu sends out a question. Says, hi, Andrew. I need 1 running back, 1 flex in a full PPR. Marks, Rico, Estime, Michael Wilson, DJ Moore, and Josh Downs. I think Marks is your RB. That's for sure. As for wide receiver, Michael Wilson or DJ Moore, as of right now, I have them back-to-back ranked. As of this current situation, I probably play Marks and DJ Moore this week. Next question, New Orleans, New York Giants, or Jacksonville defense? I would play Jacksonville's defense. Thank you. Easy E says, lean Seattle defense over New Orleans. Any changes? I would prefer Seattle's defense as well. Questions in the chat. Okay. Says, I need 3 wide receivers and 3 wide receivers super flex starting Brissett, JSN, Evans, Wilson, Kyle Williams, unless that's Kyron. Maybe that is Kyron Williams. Josh Jacobs, Fannin. We have Burrow. Was that Jason Myers, Seattle or New Orleans defense? Abuka, Wilson, Gainwell, Stevenson, and Hill. Screwed up meant team in chat. Any changes? Cool. So in this situation, I'm leaving Seattle's defense in there. Brissett and Burrow are perfect at quarterback. JSN, Mike Evans is solid. Michael Wilson as your third wide receiver, good to go. Kyron Williams and Jacobs are the preferred running backs. If you do have so Fannin will be your tight end. If you do have a flex, like an open flex spot, in the event in which Travion Henderson is inactive tomorrow, you play Stevenson there. Otherwise, you play Gainwell there. If you don't have a flex spot, then you keep it as is. Thank you. Alrighty, continuing on with a question from Maz Space, who says, full PPR, I need to pick 2. Gainwell, Warren, Hampton. Will Ravens losing potentially cause Pittsburgh to sit starters? That's a great question. I would imagine not. Again, Pittsburgh, even though, yes, technically I believe they would clinch their division. Let me just confirm this. NFL standings is what I need. So in the case of the Pittsburgh Steelers, in the event in which the Ravens were to lose, they would clinch the NFL playoffs. But I wouldn't go as far as to say that they would bench their starters this week. I would assume that they want to keep the momentum going. They would play their starters this week, but then bench them next week. Unless, again, they're trying to just claim further home field advantage? Because, I mean, well, technically you wouldn't. Yeah, you could still. Like, theoretically, no, you got to win 2 games. Otherwise, you're not going to have any home field advantage against the Chargers. Yeah, none of these teams. So I'd expect them not to bench them this week. I would expect them to bench them next week because, again, outside of playing in the first round at home, they're not going to have another home game for the rest of the season. Here we go. Let's see here. And that's under the assumption that, again, Baltimore loses. It says actually include Jacoby Myers in the first list of players too. Cool. So if we're starting 2 out of these available options, if this is Warren as in Jalen Warren, then I would play Jalen Warren alongside of Hampton. Those would be the 2 that I would roll with. As for this week, thank you. All right, moving on to Sebastian Alex. Hope you're doing well, Sebastian. Says Hurts or Caleb, I would go with Jalen Hurts there. Unless it's a monsoon, then we could pivot to Caleb. But technically, I don't expect it to be. So I would assume Hurts will be the solid option. Devontae Smith or Luther Burden, I would go with Devontae Smith. I'll stack those 2. Saints or Texans, I'd go with the Texans today. Thanks, boss. Also, Taysom or Loveland, I would go with Taysom Hill there. Thank you. Oh, it's a full PPR? Yeah, I'd still go with Taysom there in that case. Appreciate it. Kevin Smith sends in a question. Says, sup, I need a running back and a flex in a full PPR. Hampton, Warren, Jennings, Pitts. I have Josh Allen, Nico, A.J. Brown, Evans, Fairbairn in the Texans defense. Any suggestions? Thanks. Well, in terms of your starting lineup, I would suggest playing Jennings over Evans here. And then at that point, I would only ever play Evans over A.J. Brown if the weather in Buffalo tomorrow is a disaster. In regards to RB and flex, after we play Jennings over Evans, I would then theoretically play Hampton as my RB and then Pitts as my flex. It's a very complicated thing. So for sure what I want to do is I want to play Josh Allen, Nico Collins, Fairbairn, and the Texans. I want to play Jennings as well alongside of A.J. Brown. So that's what I want to do. So then it becomes a matter of who am I flexing and who am I playing at RB. I think Hampton of your available options, let me check where my rankings currently rely. Yeah. Hampton and Jalen Warren I have back-to-back, but I have Hampton 1 spot ahead of him because of the full PPR format. So I would play Hampton there. And then within the flex position between Warren and Kyle Pitts, I would go in the direction of probably it's a tough one. I would position myself to play Kyle Pitts there. So Hampton, Pitts, Jennings over Evans there, and maybe Evans over A.J. Brown under the assumption that the weather's terrible tomorrow. Thank you. After Sebastian, Alex, and Kevin Smith, we move on to a question from Carlos Douglas Jr. Carlos, thank you. Says, in a full PPR, I lost Lamar. I need a quarterback, Sam Darnold or Malik Willis. I would go with Sam Darnold there, genuinely. I think Malik Willis, again, should be solid because of his rushing workload, but I think the upside revolves around Sam Darnold in this circumstance. Since I'm very scared about the weather in Buffalo, I need one flex between A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift. Well, luckily, you will be able to see what the weather looks like tomorrow before having to pivot to DeAndre Swift theoretically. If the weather is an absolute disaster, then we can theoretically pivot prior to the game. Looking at the current weather expectation as of right now for tomorrow's game, it says definite rain, 59% coverage. Again, by the time we get to the game, there may be no weather concern at all. So just hold out. Prefer to play A.J. Brown there. If the weather's a disaster, we can pivot. CTC says full PPR. Wide receivers are Puka, Chase, Olave. Flex was Pickens. Oop, my YouTube just crashed. Let me just go ahead and reload that really quickly before we continue on here. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Let's pop this back out. Move it here. Okay, we were almost... Interestingly enough, I cannot find that last question. CTC, right? Yeah. All right, cool. So now I need to just pop it back up on screen and we're good to go. And then we just need to adjust it accordingly. Perfect. Okay, so we had the question that came in from CTC, who was mentioning, have all these options. Pickens was in the flex, 2 running backs, Jonathan Taylor, and either Jalen Warren or Gainwell. I would play Jalen Warren there. Again, just a very run-heavy script should be expected. Also, tight end, either Strange or Jawan Johnson. I would play Jawan Johnson. So in this circumstance, can you only play 2 wide receivers? If you can only play 2 wide receivers, it's Puka and Chase. Then it's Taylor and Warren, and then it's Jawan Johnson there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. TJ Money says Hampton or Bucky. I'd prefer to play Hampton. Brissett or Trevor Lawrence. Got to play Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. Led says, what's up, brother? Says, hi, Andrew. Questions in the chat. Says, Amon and McLaurin put me in a deficit. I need upside in a full PPR. Are we still doing Tedero McMillan over Tracy? Yes, in a full PPR, I would do that. Also unsure about the Saints versus the Titans. Since their most recent performance, other options are Packers, Ravens, and Bucks. Are you saying defensively? That's what we're mentioning? Okay, so if that's in fact your question, and we're talking about defensive starts, as of right now, I do have, if you have the Chargers available, I would go in that direction. Otherwise, I like the Ravens out of those options. The order at which I would rank it would be like Ravens 1, Tampa Bay 2, New Orleans 3, then Green Bay 4. Thank you. Alrighty, after Led's question here. Oh, I just lost it. We got to go back up. All right, there we go. All right, after Led's question, we had Lil Drama says, happy holidays, man. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you and yours as well. Championship round, 12-team full PPR, wide receivers, Zay Flowers, Ladd McConkey, Tedero McMillan. Oh, no, that's Laddie McConkey. That's not McMillan. Or DJ Moore. Of these three available in a full PPR, let me see where I have them ranked. I currently, technically, I'd go Ladd 1, Zay Flowers 2, DJ Moore 3. That's the order in which I have it. Then moving on to tight end, you have Taysom Hill or AJ Barner. I have to play Taysom Hill there. And then, yeah, that's it. That's what you have. Best of luck. Thank you very much, Drama. Appreciate it. Hi, I've sent it a follow-up. Says Herbert because he lit up last week or Purdy? Yeah, I would still go Purdy. The matchup against the Texans is not an ideal one. So I go Purdy there. All right. Skaint says, full PPR, Herbert or Purdy? Yeah, I'd go with Purdy there. Thank you. All right. We have Excel Toner, who says, Dart or Willis? I would go in the direction of Dart there. And Watson or Pierce? I would go with Pierce. Thank you. D-Blow says, half PPR, Michael Wilson or Marvin Harrison? I would go with Michael Wilson still. Mondre, Marks, or Carter? I would probably position myself to play Woody Marks here. I would anticipate that Travion Henderson plays tomorrow, which would lessen the value of Ramondre Stevenson below Carter. So basically becomes a matter of like, do I want to risk it and play Marks or Carter, which in a half PPR, I think Marks is a substantially better play. All right, Lisette Martinez says, hi, Andrew. Pick 2 wide receivers and a quarterback in a half PPR, Evans, London, DJ Moore, and T. Higgins. Of those available options, genuinely, I probably end up playing Evans and T. Higgins just to be safe with the London situation still in question. And then at quarterback, I would play Joe Burrow over the field. Chance at a 3-peat. Let's bring it home. Thank you very much. Go BMX sends out a question. Says, full PPR, I need 1. Hill, Chigozimo Okonkwo, Gesicki, or Tongs. If you don't have Kittle on roster, and Kittle is not a pivoting option for Tongs, and you don't have the vice versa 2 options, I am playing Taysom Hill there. Thank you. All right, Drewski sends in a question. Says, thanks for all the help this year. You got me to the chip, but CeeDee Lamb might be the end for me. I need Kaimi Fairbairn to drop 18. Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility as he's dropped, 15-plus points in the last 2 games? So you still have a chance there, brother. Tarek sends in a question. Says, half PPR, Tedero, Diggs, Carter, or Burden? I would probably position myself to play Diggs 1, Tedero 2, Carter 3, and Burden 4. So Diggs will be my suggestion there. Thank you. Ibrahim Yusuf. Ibrahim, what's up? Wandell or Diggs? I would go in the direction of playing Diggs there in a half PPR. Thank you, sir. Blake sends out a question, or Blake Deacon says, questions in the chat. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Full PPR, if Hendo is out tomorrow, do I start Alec Pierce, Charbonnet, Dylan Sampson, or Michael Carter? In this circumstance, I would play Michael Carter out of the crew. Thank you. Gets Knowledge sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Says GA, good afternoon as well. Full PPR, I need a running back, tight end, and a flex. I have Travion Henderson, Dylan Sampson, Tracy Carter, Taysom Hill, Michael Carter. Taysom Hill, Mayer, AJ Barner, Burden, AD Mitchell. I have Dak, Puka, Christian McCaffrey. I need a... I don't know what that is. LOL, thank you. Okay. Let me see what you meant to say. Oh, no, you actually meant Mosaic. Is that what you meant, or is it auto-corrected to that? Did you meant to say miracle? I need a miracle? I don't know. Anyway, so in regards to your situation here, if you need a running back, tight end, and a flex, if Travion Henderson is active tomorrow, he would be my highest ranked running back of the 4 that you have. So he would take your RB spot. In the event in which Henderson is not available tomorrow, I'm playing Tracy there. Then when we look at the tight end position, I'm playing Taysom Hill. Then in the flex position, I am probably playing... So if Henderson's active, you go Henderson and Tracy and Hill. If Henderson's not active, you go Tracy, Hill, and then Carter. That's the direction in which I go in. Thank you very much, Get Knowledge. Appreciate it. Torrin Davis has a follow-up. Says full PPR locked Henry tonight as my RB2. I need a wide receiver 2 and a flex from London, Evans, Henderson, and Stevenson. Thanks for everything. Lost Bowers, start Juwan Johnson, Taysom Hill, or Strange. I would play Juwan Johnson in a full PPR easily. As for your wide receiver 2 and your flex, I think your wide receiver 2 should be Evans, and your flex will be determined tomorrow. In the event in which, again, Henderson is inactive, you play Stevenson. If, in fact, Henderson is active, I'd play Henderson and Evans tomorrow. Torrin, thank you. Mr. Underrated says PPR 2 wide receivers options are cheeks. Okay, very well. Says I have K. Williams, Buka, Reed, Higgins, Slayton, Downs, Mitchell, Judy, and DK. Oh, brother. Says also Ramondre or Tracy. I would only ever play Ramondre if Henderson is out. Otherwise, Tracy is my start. Fairbairn or McLaughlin, you got to play Fairbairn there. Now, in regards to your wide receiver position being cheeks, in a PPR scoring format, I feel most comfortable going in the direction. Jeez Louise. Okay, so because of the full PPR format, I feel like Josh Downs has the easiest road to success. Do I want to play Emeka Ibuka though? That's just... Yeah, so for right now, I'm going to play probably Josh Downs. With Theo Johnson out, I think Slayton's a better play, but do I trust him? No. Not for a championship week. 80 Mitchell's a solid play there. But again, tough coverage. Judy's unstartable. DK's a tough play. Higgins is unstartable unless that's T. Higgins. So I'm assuming it's Jaden. Can't start him. Can't play Jaden Reed. It's either Downs, Buka, Williams, or Mitchell. To which, as of this moment, where do I have 80 Mitchell? Okay, so if we're getting cute with it, I'd probably end up playing Downs and pairing him up with most likely Kyle Williams. If I'm just going to play my studs and not get cute with it, I play Emeka Ibuka and I play him alongside of most likely Josh Downs there. So it's just one of those two options. Downs is playing, I'm just flipping between Buka and Kyle Williams. Thank you. Michael King says Schultz or Taysom Hill. I'm playing Schultz, full PPR. Projected to lose by 5 points. You're going to go play Schultz there. If I was you, I would just play Buka and Downs. I don't think I'm getting cute with it. Play-by-play says, hey, Andrew, Ravens defense or Buccaneers? I currently have the Ravens one spot ahead of the Buccaneers this week. Says, also, I have Kittle. Should I wait for him? I have Tongs as my backup, and I have Juwan Johnson. Wish me luck. I would wait for him. In the event in which he doesn't play, pivot to Tongs. Thank you. Hey, Risk. 888 says, pick 2 at PPR, AJ Brown, Hunter Henry, Kyron Williams. I would play both running backs. Derrick Henry. Starting Puka too. Yeah, I would play both running backs, Kyron and Hunter. Goodness, Derrick Henry. Blue Jay sends in a question, says, hey Andrew, any changes since my last question? Should I start the Jaguars, Texans, or Chargers defense? As of this moment, I currently have it in the order of Texans 1, Jaguars 2, and Chargers 3. Texans are my number 3 remaining defense. Jaguars are my number 4, and Chargers are my number 6. So the Texans defense would be what I would start today. It says I'm starting Omarion Hampton in the flex with Vidal out. I would suggest that is a great decision to make. But if you do feel uncomfortable playing your defense against your running back, then at that point you play the Jaguars, because that would be my next best option there. Buccaneers would be my 4th highest ranked of the bunch. Thank you. 19 FAF says, full PPR, Strange, Kyle Williams, Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell, 1,000%. Thank you. Rhode Island says, Taysom Hill is also on the waivers. See my last super. Thank you. Let's see here. So in the case in which you have a wide receiver and a flex, and I mentioned going in the direction of you had Watson, Pittman, Michael. We talked about this earlier. Kenneth Walker and Luther Burden was the 1-2 combo. theoretically speaking, would I play Taysom Hill over a Luther Burden in a full PPR? Probably not. I would consider it in a standard format, but not in a full PPR, no. All right, let's see. Rith sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, pick 2, London, Ladd, Carter. I want to play London and Ladd. So that's the direction in which I would go in. I would take the risk. Dylan sends in a question. Says, bench 1, Jacobs, Hampton, Nico. Jacobs sits. Hampton and Nico play. Thank you. JJ sends in a question. Says, Omarion Hampton or Ramondre Stevenson? I'm playing Hampton today. Again, I don't want to have to wait until Henderson's activated tomorrow and then we're cooked. So Hampton has to play. FZ Ware says, I'm down by 22 going into tomorrow. I need upside. Goddard, Tongs, Taysom, Parker Washington, or Ibuka. I need a tight end in a flex in a full PPR. Upside YOLO. Yeah, if we're looking for the quote-unquote upside YOLO, then technically you go Taysom Hill and you go Dallas Goedert. And you hope that they both score touchdowns. Xander Comics sends in a question. Says, hey, Andrew, hope all is well and hope you had a great holiday. Thank you very much. I hope so for you as well. And of course, for everyone in the chat. Hope you guys had a happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Wishing you luck in your fantasy questions in the chat. Thank you very much, brother. Gonna need it, man. My championship on the line this week. I've got some good players rolling today. Just gotta hope that, you know, they do what they're supposed to. All right, let's see. It says my thoughts on okay. So my thoughts are okay. Hold on, wait. I gotta fully see this. It says played Gibbs. I need a little upside in a full PPR. Jacoby or Caleb. I would prefer Jacoby Brissett. Excuse me. Says, then I need to start 3 wide receivers and 1 flex. I have Olave, T. Higgins, Wanda Robinson, Devontae Smith, Omarion Hampton, Ramondre Stevenson. My other running back is Achane. So I would play in your flex position Hampton, and then Olave, T. Higgins, and Wanda Robinson are your top 3 wide receivers in a full PPR. Says, my thoughts are with Vidal out, what if Henderson comes back, and then if Giants just tank for first pick with Wandell? I doubt that they're going to do it, guys. There's a chance, but I would like to assume some sort of integrity there by the coaching staff. Oh, also need upside in another league, Dalton Schultz or Taysom. I go Dalton Schultz there. But in this circumstance, if I was in your position, you have to flex Omarion Hampton, and I think Olave, T. Higgins, and Wanda Robinson have to be your plays. If you are scared about Wanda Robinson, then just play Devontae Smith. Thank you. Snyder sends in a question. Says, or Cinder sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Pick 2 for my tight end and flex. Fannin, Kittle/Tongs, or Corum. Yeah, brother, I would, if I was in your position in a full PPR scoring format, I am doing this. I'm playing Fannin as my tight end, and then I am either playing Kittle or Tongs in my flex. That's the way I go about it. In the event in which tomorrow morning Fannin is inactive, then you play Corum in your flex, and then you play the pivoting of Kittle and Tongs. But otherwise, I'd like to play the tight ends. Thank you. Adrian Acosta says, Bucks or New Orleans defense? Think Tetaroa does good against defense? Tetaroa should be pretty solid this week against the Seattle Seahawks. Or Corum. Yeah, I'm going to play with Tetaroa there if I had an opportunity. As for Bucks or New Orleans, I prefer the Bucks defense. Patrick Pierce says, switch Bucky for Corum, Carter, or Manungai. I wouldn't. I'd play Bucky still. If I was going to swap him from somebody, it would be Corum, theoretically, though. Merck says, May or Burrow? I play Burrow there. Pick 1 touchdown scorer from both games today. Okay, so anytime touchdown scorers for today. I mean, genuinely, you would assume for... Okay, so I would go Hampton in the first game, and then I would go Derrick Henry in the second game. Obey the Martian says, Taysom or Parkinson at tight end? I'd go Taysom Hill there. Also, A.J. Brown or Waller in the flex? I got to play A.J. Brown, no matter what. The David Show sends in a question. Says, Steelers defense or Saints? I'd go Steelers defense. Little or... as for Cam Little or... It's funny, they're both Cams. It's Cameron Dicker and Cam Little. Between the two of them, I would prefer to play Dicker there. Thank you. Joel Garza says, if Stevenson doesn't play, he's going to play. It's not a matter of whether or not he plays. It's a matter of whether or not Travion Henderson plays. Where do I pivot? Unless Stevenson popped up on the injury report and I am not aware of it. Yeah, there's nothing about Stevenson that I'm seeing from the injury report. So There's no pivoting. I mean, theoretically, if Henderson plays, where do we pivot with Stevenson is what you're pretty much asking. Alec Pierce, Parker Washington, or grab someone off of the waivers like Tyjae Spears, Romeo Dobbs, who plays tonight, Keenan Allen. No, I mean, if I was in your position in the event in which Travion Henderson plays, I would then pivot to Alec Pierce there. OGC or OGJC says questions in the chat. Thanks, go. Okay, appreciate it. Half PPR wide receiver flex. London with Algier would be emergency backup. Okay, Wilson or Monangai. I would play London and Wilson, and I'd have the emergency backup. So Wilson will be my wide receiver, London in my flex to the potential pivot of Tyler Algier. Thank you, OG. GCJ sends it a question, says Carter, Irving, or Corum. I'm going to play Bucky Irving there in a full PPR. Thank you. Dylan sends in a follow-up, says bench one Hampton, Nico Jacobs. Jacobs is sitting on my bench. Gerardo Rodriguez says played Lamb and JMO. He played Gibbs. Pick one. Henry, Bucky, Stevenson. Got to play Derrick Henry. Flex, London, Jacoby, Wilson. Between these available options, London's 1, Jacoby's 2, Wilson's 3, assuming they're all healthy. PPR, Patriots or Seattle defense, I play the Patriots. If by tomorrow we don't have any word on the confirmation of London playing, then you just play Jacoby. Thank you. Hive sends it a question, says Charbonnet or Stevenson. If Stevenson has Henderson active tomorrow, I would then play Charbonnet. Otherwise, Stevenson plays if Henderson's inactive and doesn't clear concussion protocol. All right. Fandan, I'm just going to call you that. Says full PPR. Start 4 between Flowers, BTJ, Warren, Henderson, Swift, Carter. Okay, so in the event in which we can start 4, I would prefer to go in the direction in a full PPR of Jalen Warren, BTJ, Flowers, and Henderson. Those are the 4. In the event in which Henderson is not active tomorrow, you then play Swift on Sunday Night Football. You pivot there. But otherwise, those are my 4 options. 4 point per passing touchdown, May or Lawrence. I go with Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. Travis 1880 says 1 point per reception, BTJ or DJ Moore. I go BTJ there. Dicker or Borregales. I would go with Cameron Dicker. Thank you. Matt 70 says in a flex full PPR, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, Hampton, or Carter. I play Hampton there. Thank you. Sags says in a half PPR, London or Tongues. Loveland or Tongues, with Kittle out. If Kittle, do you have Kittle on roster? If you have Kittle on roster, then I would say Tongues. If you do not have Kittle on roster, then you have to. Well, no, they're playing the same team. Okay, so in the event in which you get to Sunday Night Football, they're playing each other. If Kittle is out, you play Tongues over Loveland. Thank you. Chargers, New Orleans, or Seattle defense. I have Seattle 1, Chargers 2, New Orleans 3. Jacoby Myers or Jalen Warren. I would go with Jalen Warren. Good luck to all. Let's win these championships. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good luck to you as well. Vanilla Villains. Excuse me. Says pick 3. PPR with tight end premium. Okay. Jacobs, London, Waddle, Loveland, BTJ, Hill, Marks. Started Dak, Amon-Ra, Harvey. I have McBride, Bijan, JSN. I'm facing Christian. Okay, so in the case in which we need to pick 3, Jacobs, London, Waddle, Loveland, BTJ, Hill, Marks. Jacobs, London. It's a tight end premium, but I don't want to play Loveland there. It's between BTJ and Woody Marks in this case. Half PPR. I would play Jacobs, London, and Woody Marks. In the event in which tomorrow we get some sort of further speculation and worry that London may not play, then you could play BTJ instead of London tomorrow. But Jacobs and Marks, I think, have to play today. Thank you. Jesus sends out a question. Says Singletary, Dowdle, or Jacoby Myers. I would play Jacoby Myers over all of them, regardless of scoring format. Wandon says full PPR, flex 2, AD Mitchell, Godwin, Trey Tucker, Burden. Burden and Godwin will be my top 2 options. Thank you. Brian Canales says, in a full PPR, pick 2, Kyron, Derrick Henry, Gainwell, and Jennings. In a full PPR scoring format, I would play Derrick Henry and Jawan Jennings. I have to play Kyron, though. Shoot. Okay, so this is what I'm going to suggest. Derrick Henry has to play tonight. If tomorrow night Kittle and Pearsall are both inactive, you play Jennings. If they are both active, you play Kyren alongside of Derrick Henry. So it's pretty much contingent on that. And luckily, you have Jennings tomorrow night and Kyren on Monday to be able to make that kind of contingency swap option. But Derrick Henry plays tonight. Luis Lopez sends in a question. Says, do I start Zay Flowers over DJ Moore in the flex? I would, yes. Also, start Pollard over Stevenson with Henderson healthy. Correct. Other flex option is Tyrone Tracy in finals. Nope, Pollard will be great. Christian McCaffrey and Puka. Perfect. Zay Flowers, Pollard. Thank you. Joey sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison, or Christian Watson. I'd play Michael Wilson there. Seriously thinking of playing Tucker for upside. You could. I don't trust Geno Smith that much, but you could. It says, I had Gibbs playing for all the marbles. I understand that. I would just try to play my stud in this case, and I think Michael Wilson's that answer. JJ says, Steelers or Saints defense? Steelers. Goddard or Taysom Hill? Goddard. Thank you. Sep Man says, in a 4 point per touchdown, 1 point per reception, Allen versus Purdy, playing Josh Allen, McCaffrey and Jennings. Totally understand. I have to play Josh Allen. I have to. I don't think I'd ever not play him. Thank you. MCE sends in a question. I've just lost the question. Let me find it. All right, there it is. MCE sent in a question. Says, we're back in the chip, bro. Questions in the chat. Congratulations, first and foremost, but job's not finished. Full PPR. Help me out. I'm unsure about my tight end options. I have Goddard and Schultz as an option. Play Schultz. I can get Strange as well. He's starting Trevor Lawrence. I think Schultz has to be the answer in this case. Says, lineup, how are we looking? Stafford, Bijan, Achane, JSN, Jennings, Schultz, Pinheiro, Detroit defense. Yeah, you're looking great. Looking like we're $1 million here. Jalen Warren sitting on my bench sucks. But in this case, I mean, in a full PPR, well, actually, you don't really mention a flex here. You have Stafford, Bijan, Achane, JSN, Jennings, Schultz. If you have a flex play available, I'm going to go Jalen Warren there, brother, out of those available bench plays. If it's available to you, again. If you don't have a flex in your league, then you're good to go. Thank you. All right, let's hear. Tipton sends in a question. Says, full PPR chip, 12-man, full. Okay, we have Burrow, Harvey, Hall, Manungai, St. Brown, Collins, McBride, Flex, Olave, Saints, Pinheiro, Little, and Verse. Okay, so really quickly, let's see here. Also, who should I start at running back? Okay, so in regards to what do I think of the team? Joe Burrow is my RB. Harvey already started, beautiful. Between Hall and Manungai, I would play Hall in a full PPR. Then we look in the direction of already played St. Brown. We're playing Collins right now in about 30 minutes. McBride is my tight end. Olave is my flex. Saints is a solid defense. Between Pinheiro and Cam Little, I would suggest going Pinheiro. Well, actually, depends on the weather. Let me see what the weather looks like in San Fran. San Fran weather's clear. I would play Pinheiro there versus that available options. Yeah, you're good to go. Hall's at my RB2. Thank you. All right, moving on to Joseph, who says, Marks or Hall? I'd go Marks there. Warren or Hill? I would go Hill. Thank you. Rith sends in a question, says, include Brees in my list, please. Thank you. Okay, sounds good. So of these available options, half PPR picking 2, I'm still sticking with London and Ladd. Thank you. Appreciate it. Obey the Martian sends in a follow-up, says, full PPR for the title, Parkinson or Taysom Hill? I would have to play Taysom Hill there. Says, also, I have A.J. Brown and Waller for the flex. Yeah. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going A.J. Brown there. Appreciate that, Obey. Neil Dynasty says, Kyle Williams, Abuka, or Burden? I go Burden there. Riff sends in a question, says, half PPR flex, one wide receiver, Burden, Reed, Coker, or Pearsall. Gonna play Burden, regardless of whether or not Pearsall is active. Says, Charbonnet, Mike G, or any of these options. Am I going to play Mike Gesicki over Charbonnet? No. But in the event, okay, so here's the thing. I think I'm in your position. I'm going to play Charbonnet at the flex. I'm going to play Burden at wide receiver. I may consider if tomorrow Kittle is inactive tomorrow night, I might pivot Burden to Pearsall. For right now, I'd leave Burden there because I'm assuming Kittle plays, but Burden and Charbonnet are my 1 and 2. Thank you. David Diaz says flex Swift, Michael Wilson, or Michael Carter, I'm assuming. In a full PPR, thanks, Andrew. Of these available options, I think I end up rolling Swift in this case. I would have typically just told you to play Michael Wilson, but again, He's not seeing the similar workload share as he does in the absence of Marvin Harrison, so it's a little bit sketchy. I go Swift there. Joel sends in a question. Says Charbonnet or Monungai. As of right now, I have Charbonnet ranked higher. Fannin, Loveland, or Tongs. I'm going to go Fannin there 100% of the time. If he's inactive tomorrow, then we position to play Tongs only if Kittle is out. Otherwise, we play London. Very much the contingent. Burden or Wan'Dale Robinson. I play Wan'Dale Robinson. Terrell Andrew sends in a follow-up. Says Taysom or Warren in a full PPR. In a full PPR setting, I'm going to still play Taysom Hill there. Thank you. Moving on to Anthony C. says, here's a good one. Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence and Houston and Seattle's defense. I'm going Houston and I'm going Josh Allen. I do think that there is an argument that can be made to play Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen. Can I personally stomach that? No, I can't. Because Josh Allen any single week can legitimately show up, run for 3 touchdowns, score 2 on the air, and have 1,000,000 yards. And that's what scares me. I don't want to leave the number 1 quarterback in fantasy on my bench ever. So in this case, I go, I go Josh Allen and I go Houston. Thank you. Ben sends in a follow-up. Says, me again. I have Kittle, Tongs, Strange. What do I do? You position yourself to play Kittle and Tongs. So if Kittle's active tomorrow night, you leave him in your lineup. In the event in which he is inactive, you pivot to playing Tongs. Do not play Strange. Thank you. Twisted Folk says 2 teams and questions, both half PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex between JJ, I'm assuming that's Josh Jacobs, Pollard, Hampton, and Stevenson. Considering Stevenson plays tomorrow, I think it's in our best interest to play Hampton and Josh Jacobs today. Second team, 2 running backs in flex. Cool. We have Josh Jacobs, Bucky Stevenson, Travion, and Jacoby Myers. In the case of this situation, Josh Jacobs plays today. In the event in which Travion is inactive tomorrow, I would play Stevenson. In the event in which Travion is active tomorrow, I would play Travion as my RB2 alongside of Josh Jacobs. And then in the flex position in a half PPR, if Travion's active, I play Bucky. If Travion is not active, I still play Bucky. Thank you. Yalko sends in a question. Says, Henry, Hampton, Jacobs. Half PPR, thanks, man. Of the 3, I have Henry number 1, Hampton 2, Jacobs 3. Thank you. Howard sends in a question. Says, questions below. Thank you. Appreciate it, Howard. Says, full PPR, flex Hampton or Tetaroa. Played Sutton and Pickens. Warren or Tongs. I would play Hampton. In regards to Warren and Tongs, unless you have Kittle, you have to play Warren. If you do have Kittle, then I'm positioning to Kittle Tongs pivot. Thank you. Gets Knowledge says, yeah, typo, miracle. Thank you. Happy holidays. Yeah, because when I looked at it, I was like, is that what you meant? So I was like, And then, anyway, good to go, brother. Thank you. Baby Hercules says, Emmanuel Wilson, Corum, or Woody? I would play Woody. Says, I'm leaning Wilson since Packers clinched the playoffs already. Look, here's the issue, right? As of this moment, the Packers still are in a position to where they could win their division. So it's not out of the realm because they have a 1-1 tie with the Chicago Bears within the series. So in the event in which the Packers win the next 2 games here and the Chicago Bears lose their next 2 games, we may have a situation in which, again, because of the fact that the Packers have a tie, at that point, technically, they would win their division. So I don't think that they're shutting down anytime soon. They're going to try to win tonight and then position themselves to potentially win next week. If the Bears win, then next week, of course, they would shut down their starters in week 18. Ben Matter 66 says, could you provide some insight on why you would start Woody Marks over Michael Carter in a full PPR? Yeah, my primary overall concern regarding Michael Carter is the negative script. So in the event in which we're going to be in a situation where the Cincinnati Bengals come out, blow the doors off of that Arizona defense, considering all the injuries they have sustained in their secondary, we're going to assume that Joe Burrow should be able to just absolutely light up that secondary. My concern becomes the reality of where, if in the event in which they're down multiple scores, are they going to ever utilize Michael Carter in the rushing capacity to which we would like, which becomes the issue. In comparison to where, if you look at Woody Marks, especially with Jordan last week, in the absence of Marks, he had 20 total touches, had 15 carries and 5 receptions, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? Let me see here. Jordan, yeah, he had 15 carries and 5 receptions last week. So Woody Marks is going to go back to getting 20 touches in a game which should be a very close scoring contest. in comparison to Michael Carter, who again is very much so determined by the overall his defense as to whether or not he's going to be able to get touches at that high of a clip. It's not to say that Michael Carter with less touches can't outscore Woody Marks with a greater workload share. It's just he would need to be incredibly efficient or fall into the end zone in order to eclipse that. So just purely off of touches alone is what gives Woody Marks that advantage. It says, feels like Carter could be a smash, maybe overthinking. No, I don't think you're overthinking it. Again, somebody asked earlier, is it crazy to play Michael Carter over Woody? And I said the answer is no. Because when you're playing against Cincinnati, that defense can't stop the run. Clear as day. And that's one of the best matchups you could possibly set up for. My only concern is the overall opportunity share that Michael Carter gets exposed to. Sam Highway sends out a question, says McConkey or Wan'Dale Robinson. I went over this earlier today. I'm going to just stick with my studs. I'm going to play McConkey and I'm going to play the Chargers defense here. Thank you. Cal, what's up? Sends out a question, says, I'm in a quarterback per completion league. Start Herbert, Cousins, Shuck, or Darnold. I need to check a bunch of stats here. So give me a moment to just cross-reference here, and then I'll let you know. So I'm going to check Shuck first because of all the options, he is my highest ranked. Tyler Shuck has had 32, 24, 26, and 30. Okay, so that's a lot. Brother is a completion demon. Let's look at Herbert. Nope, not interested in Herbert. And then we go to Cousins. I don't think he's going to be the answer either. Cousins is decent, but not the answer. And then we go to Darnold. I don't think he's going to be the answer either because they don't throw the ball as much. Darnold's decent. Of the availables, I'm going Tyler Shuck there. Thank you, Cal. M. King sends out a question. Says, good day. Questions in the chat. Thank you, King. Says, good day, Andrew. Full point per reception. I need a flex between Woody Marks, Christian Watson, and BTJ. In a full PPR setting, I think I legitimately end up playing BTJ there. Stranger Schultz, I play Schultz. Thank you. Eat my craft. Okay, interesting. Says half PPR, super flex. Pick one, Rivers or Malik Willis. In a 4 point per passing touchdown format, I would suggest you play Willis there because of the rushing upside. Worried about Malik injury? Malik's not injured. He was sick earlier this week. So earlier this week, he missed practice because he was under the weather. So if you're worried about him being under the weather, I think that could be something of a conversation. But I wouldn't anticipate that like the shoulder is something to be of a concern. And if it is, even if it is, honestly, I'd assume he runs the ball even more, which makes him, in my opinion, can we get this to focus, please? Or not? Okay. Let's see here. Mr. Camera, would you like to focus and not just be off on your own tangent? Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm going to play Malik Willis there. I think if you were playing in a 6 point per touchdown league, I would tell you to blindly play Rivers in that circumstance. But considering the format, I think Willis is the preferred. Rave Baked sends in a question. All right, we've almost caught up to all the questions prior to the game. Thank you guys, appreciate it. Rave says Hampton, Ladd, Michael Wilson, Carter. Any 3 of 4. In a full PPR, I play Hampton, Ladd, and Wilson. Genuinely, those are the 3 that I roll with. Nacho's gone. Says Rico Dowdle, Devontae Smith, Michael Wilson, Wan'Dale Robinson. Who do we sit? Rico Dowdle is the number 1 sit. Actually, okay, let me rank it in the order in which I would kind of play them. I would play Wan'Dale 1, Michael Wilson 2, Devontae Smith 3, and Rico 4. So if you can play 3 of the 4, then Rico is the sit. Otherwise, again, yeah, Wan'Dale 1, Michael Wilson 2, Devontae Smith 3, Rico 4. Thank you. Coach B, what's up, brother? Says, I'm trying to super chat, half PPR. Yeah, unfortunately, so there, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think it, depending on the amount, it allows you to add text to it or doesn't. I don't know. It's weird. Half PPR Superflex. I need 2 out of 4. Marks, Pierce, Pittman, and or Corum. Thanks for your dedication, brother, to the season's end. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So Woody Marks, I believe, alongside of Corum should start. Now, because of the situation in which you have Pierce and Pittman, I don't like the idea of splitting them. So if I was in your spot here, oh no, you need 2 out of 4. Never mind. I'm playing Marks and Corum. I thought I read 3 out of 4. Never mind. Marks and Corum are my starts. Thank you. All right, Ray Barrera says full PPR Diggs, Juwan Johnson, Hill, Tongs, or Sampson. Full PPR, got to play Diggs. Next best option will be Johnson, though. Lorenzo sends in a question, says half PPR Jacobs, Kyle Pitts, BTJ, flex, half PPR. In a half PPR, I'm playing Jacobs. If it was a full, I would then tell you to play Kyle Pitts. Douglas Steele sends in a question. Douglas, thank you. Says full PPR Genty, Flowers, Myers. As of right now, I have Genty and Myers as my top 2 options. Thank you. Gerardo Chavez sends in a question. Says flex, questions in the chat, full PPR. I have Olave and Higgins as my wide receivers, Genty with Jacobs as my running backs. I need to flex between McMillan, Rico, Michael Carter, and Taysom Hill. I would play Tedero McMillan. It says Olave is on injury report. To what sub would you use? Okay, so in the event in which somehow, some way, tomorrow morning we wake up, okay, and we're planning on playing McMillan in the flex, but Olave becomes inactive, you would play McMillan over Olave, then you would flex Michael Carter. That's the contingency there, Gerardo. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thomas says 41% chance to win Schultz or Hill, May or T-Law. In a full PPR, 4 point per touchdown, Trevor Lawrence and Dalton Schultz. In the event in which you're like, Andrew, I need to go for the Hail Mary, I need to get all the points I can, I still think that Trevor Lawrence is the play. You could go high risk, high reward with Taysom Hill, but again, Schultz has just been too consistent for full PPR for me to avoid him. 8 of the last 11 games, double-digit fantasy points. I'm going Schultz and T-Law. Swallowed, what's up, brother? Says let's see here. Played Lions defense, they had 15 points. Okay, so I guess it depends on what format you guys are playing in, because I've seen 7, I've seen 10, I've seen 15 now, so it's crazy stuff. Says, why would you play Woody Marks? Carter lines are better. What lines? Look, here's the thing. If you want to utilize lines as the determining factor as the potential success, you do that on your own volition. As of right now, I look at fantasy football in a different capacity. I don't look at what Vegas lines are set. I'm looking at how many potential touches are you projected to get, because the more touches you could theoretically have within your score line, the more potential for upside of scoring fantasy points. I mean, the only way to score more points is getting more touches effectively, right? So if I know what a fantasy point per touch looks like in terms of a rushing attempt or a target for the running back position, and then I know how many potential touches you're theoretically going to get within a given week, that could incite as to how much fantasy points within the range you can find via that overall potential. So in this case, I'm all in on the Woody Marks potential. If you want to play Carter, I don't think it's crazy. Says I'm feel bad starting Burrow over May. May got me here, then play May. Brother, I mean, listen, if you feel sentimental about playing Drake May, play Drake May. But I expect Joe Burrow to go nuclear tomorrow. I mean, shoot, they're both going to be great options. They're both, again, in my tier 2 quarterbacks. They're both going to be 20 plus points. Big Verge, what's up? Says Hampton or London? I'm just going to play Hampton. No risk. Thank you. Java Face says Samson, Dobbs, Reed, full PPR in the flex. I would play Samson, genuinely, in a full PPR. I don't want to take the risk here with any of those options. Big Verge says I need a wide receiver in a flex between London, Tetaroa, and Hampton. I would play Hampton and London. Thank you. Moving on to a question that comes in from CK. 1996 says full PPR start 1. Waddle, McMillan, or Wandell. Tetaroa McMillan is my suggestion. Thank you. Rob P says pick 1 PPR. Taysom Hill, Loveland, Tongs. In the event in which you do not have Kittle, you should probably play Taysom Hill. You have Loveland and Tongs. Never mind. If I was in your position, I would try to play Loveland in the event in which Kittle is outplayed Tongs on Sunday night. Thank you. Free Bands says Zay Flowers or Quentin Johnston. For sure going to play Flowers. Quentin Johnston would have to score a touchdown against Derek Stingley, Kamani Lassiter. Don't love that. I'm taking Zay Flowers there. Adam sends in a question. Says Shuck or Willis. I'm playing Shuck. Raiders or Giants. I would play the Giants defense. They've been pretty solid of late, and Raiders don't have Max Crosby. Thank you. Then we move on to the question from CJB, who says I need 2 wide receivers, PPR, Watson, BTJ, Washington, Reed. I play Washington and I play BTJ, both Jaguars in this case. Thank you. Jay Koziar sends in a question. Says PPR, bench Tetaroa for Henderson if he plays. In the event in which Henderson plays, I would be okay benching Tetaroa for him. Yes. Oscar says Evans or Hampton in the flex, full PPR. I'm going Hampton there. Thank you. Jesus sends in a question. Says half PPR. My team is Burrow, Puka, Evans, Corum, Gainwell, Loveland, Myers, Fairbairn, Detroit versus Allen, Flowers, Wilson, Henry, McCaffrey, Parkinson, Kyron, Bates, Buffalo. 42% chance of winning. Am I good? I mean, look, when I look at the overall kind of opportunity here, just comparing it 1-for-1, Burrow and Allen are my number 1 and 2 quarterbacks this week. So pretty much even floor there. Puka is the best wide receiver in fantasy. You have Evans compared to his Flowers and Wilson. You have him beat at wide receiver. Then at running back, he has Henry and Christian McCaffrey. You have Corum and Gainwell. He has you beat. Even if Corum and Gainwell score touchdowns, he still has you beat. Then when we go to the tight end position, in my opinion, equal playing field. And then when we go to the flex position, Kyron versus Myers, I think he has you beat. So then it becomes a matter of, Can Fairbairn completely just play out of his mind to which shifting this 42 to a 50%? What Fairbairn has done over the course of the last couple weeks here, I mean, just that alone. 17 and 16 points in the last 2 games. If we can get another performance of that capacity to where he outscores his projection by double, I think it gives you the opportunity to where if everyone on your team scores a touchdown tomorrow, Corum, Gainwell, Loveland, Myers, if they all find the end zone and Fairbairn does his job, you win the chip. Otherwise, his running back trio of Henry, CMC, and Kyron, brother, I mean, shit. That's a tough beat. Thank you. All right. Hago sends out a question. Thank you very much, brother. Says Ladd or DJ Moore. I'm going Ladd McConkey this week. Thank you. Josu says Schultz or Loveland. I'm going Schultz there. It says I don't trust Stroud. It's not a matter of trusting Stroud. It's a matter of target competition and total potential targets that could theoretically be gathered. Even in the absence of Rome Odunze and Colston Loveland, even in the absence of Rome Odunze and Luther Burden last week, Colston Loveland only had 5 targets. He is pretty much capped at a ceiling. The offense gets him 4 to 5 targets per week. Over the course of the last 7 games, he has had 4 to 5 targets in 6 of those. The only game in which he's had more is 6 targets where he only had 3 catches. He is capped on his overall opportunity share. Schultz, on the other hand, is not. Thank you. Montoya Vision says, championship week, Lawrence or Brissett, got to play Lawrence. Running backs, Etienne, Henry, beautiful. Wide receivers, Puka, JSN, beautiful. Flex is Evans, 6-point per passing touchdown, beautiful. Yardage bonuses, who do I start? Yeah, we're playing Trevor Lawrence, and we're winning the chip. Congratulations, brother. Adam sends in a question, says full PPR. I need 1 flex, spot Michael Carter, Michael Wilson, Kenneth Walker. I mean, if it's my team, I'm genuinely playing Kenneth Walker against that Carolina Panthers one-stop defense. I'd love to do that. Yeah, we're going Ladd McConkey over DJ Moore there. Hago, thank you. Ant sends in a question, says Texans or Saints defense? I would go with the Texans defense this week. Thank you. All right, we're about 7 minutes from kickoff. I appreciate you guys sending in these super chats. Appreciate you guys being patient. Of course, I know that many of you maybe had to wait a pretty good amount of time there, but of course, I was, trying my very best. Trey Tucker or Kyle Williams? I genuinely would play Kyle Williams. Hampton over DJ Moore? I would play Hampton over DJ Moore there, David. David, if you had any other questions, maybe I can check Discord. I don't know. Oops, I just dropped my camera lens cover. Is there any questions you maybe sent me on Discord and I wasn't able to check that out because I've been live streaming? Let me just check real quick. Do you have any other questions, brother? Okay, you're good to go there. No, you didn't send me anything. Okay, cool, David. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Is this on? No, it's not. Dowdle, Taysom Hill, Reed, Tyler Warren in the flex. Genuinely, I think if I'm in a full PPR, it's either Dowdle or Taysom Hill. Personally, I probably end up rolling with, it's kind of crazy, but I think conventional wisdom will tell you to play your studs and play Dowdle. I think I play Taysom Hill there. Bam Blood says, Jacobs, Nico, London, BTJ, DJ Moore. Pick 1. If I can only play 1, I'm playing Nico Collins. Tetaroa, Diggs, Wando Robinson, sit 1. Also Saints or Giants. I'd play the Saints defense. If I'm sitting one of these 3, I would sit Wando Robinson. I'd play Tetaroa and Diggs. Rams or Chargers defense. I prefer the Chargers defense. I'm just helping out. Cool. Thank you very much. Ron the Don, what's up? Says, I'm benching Ladd McConkey for Travion Henderson. This isn't the same offense as last year. Not to mention that the Texans are playing. Yeah, the only concern about playing Ladd for Travion is making sure that Travion actually is active tomorrow. Like, yes, he was able to practice yesterday and shed the non-contact jersey. I just don't know if he's going to clear concussion protocol. Fingers crossed that he's able to do so, but that's the only kind of risk/concern there. Moore or Carter, full PPR. Moore or Carter, full PPR. I probably feel pretty comfortable going Michael Carter there. With Patriots wide receiver injuries, May or Purdy, I'm okay going Purdy there. There were a couple more super chats sent in. Let me go ahead and get to those really quickly. We had Trey who says Samson, Woody, Corum, or Carter. Woody's my suggestion there. The order in which I would rank this would probably be like Woody 1, Carter 2, Corum 3, Samson 4. We buy homes. It says PPR. I need 2. Hendy, Kyron, Hampton. I would legitimately play Hampton and Kyron. Yeah, I would. Thank you. Confirming Hampton over DJ Moore. Yeah, I would do that. Absolutely. With Patreon. Okay. Let's see here, brother. Full PPR, Kittle and Hunter Henry owners. Okay. Tongs, Loveland, Gesicki, Barner are available free agents. Thanks, brother. I mean, if I was in your position, I think Hunter Henry is good enough of a play to where you don't have to wait for the Kittle / Tongs pivot. But if you would like to go for the ultimate upside of Kittle, look, here's the issue with playing Kittle. There's always the potential of a re-aggravation of the injury, and he doesn't play anymore. So in the case of where you have Hunter Henry or Jawan Johnson, I think it is smart to go there. But personally, I don't think they would play Kittle unless he was healthy. So I would go in the direction of like the Tongs Kittle potential and just run the risk. Phil, what's up, brother? Says, just I need some help in a second flex, full PPR. Michael Wilson, Dowdle, Marks, or Myers. In a full PPR, let me confirm this real quick. In a full PPR, where's Woody Marks on my list? Marks. I'm okay going Jacoby Myers there, 1. Marks 2, Wilson 3, Dowdle 4 in a full PPR. Jack O'Donnell, thank you. Says Woody or Jalen Warren. I would go with Jalen Warren there in a full PPR. Big Verge says no Bowers. Do I play Hill, Parkinson, Gesicki, or Mayer? I would play Hill. Let's see here. Coker or Waller? I mean, I'd play Waller there. I'm between Carter, Moore, and Monungai in a full PPR. Current matchup, I have a 51% chance of winning. Yeah, this is a tough one. Moore and Carter are kind of the toss-up. I probably would play the wide receiver there in a full PPR capacity. Standard flex, Teterow, McMillan, Michael Wilson, Waddle, Rico, or Burden. I play Teterow, McMillan there. Big Verge says, or Tongs. Okay. So, you know what? If I was in your position, I like the idea of Parkinson Tongs as the pivot. So you wait for Sunday night. In the event in which Kittle is active, you play Parkinson on Monday. In the event in which he's inactive, you play Tongs. I think that is a pretty solid approach to the overall situation that you are in. Thank you. All right, y'all. That's pretty much going to cover it for us today. I appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel. Again, I'm going to go ahead and continue to answer questions until the final minute here at which we get to 1:30 p.m. PST. What I want to do is I want to potentially put together a couple plays via Betr for myself. I wasn't able to do it via live stream because, again, we had a lot of questions today. But again, for those of you guys tomorrow morning who are going to be potentially swinging by trying to get your questions answered, do not forget, if you sign up today using code Andrew via Betr, there's a link down in the description. And of course, make that first time deposit minimum of 10. Make a first time play, picking more or less on 2-player statistics within a real cash play, not using any of your bonus money from via the deposit, but just using the $10 you deposited. As long as you sign up tomorrow or before tonight, you'll get the email by tomorrow morning. All you have to do is be eligible via the map to the right side of the screen. These are rankings at all positions, half PPR, full PPR, flex included. And again, you get a free $10 when signing up using code Andrew. But in regards to today, I want to go ahead and put together a real quick play. Somebody asked anytime touchdowns. I genuinely... Okay, let me clear that lineup. So I genuinely like the potential of a Hampton tutty. I like the potential of a Derrick Henry tutty, which somebody asked me about earlier. And then in regards to Ladd, I think he actually has himself kind of a higher reception count day. His current receptions at 3.5. Like, we'll take it at 3.5. And then... Wait, why did it disappear? Did the game already start? It's 1:30. Damn it. Can I get him on, like, in-game? Hold up. I'm quickly trying to get through this. Okay. There it is. So I will just put, let's put a quick 10 on it. So as of right now, I have Ladd McConkey more than 9.5 fantasy points, which is crazy. I don't even know how I got it at 9.5 just right now. And then I took anytime rushing touchdown from Hampton, anytime rushing touchdown for Henry. It's a 10 for 75, 7.5x. All right, was there any other questions here that we missed? McConkey or Moore? We're playing McConkey. London or Jennings, Evans. Nico's got to play there, and I think Jennings has to play there. Amato. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. I'll be back tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. PST. Appreciate you. Enjoy today's games. And until next time, we will be back for the final. Actually, technically not the final Sunday morning. We'll be back on week 18 Sunday morning. But This may be one of the final times I see you guys this season. Thank you very much. Best of luck. Let's win some trips this season. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace.